Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame, number 163. Sh0e Gets It Right. Allison chose that title before people start flipping out in the chat. So,
Oh, do you think they'll flip out? Like, I mean,
Sh0e, I think that Sh0e's a little, because she can be pretty sketch sometimes. So
yeah. But give props when it's due, as far as I'm concerned. I watched this whole thing, and not only was I like, yep, that's a good point. She actually brought up points that I thought, you know what, I should have thought of that. So that's impressive. Because at the risk of sounding incredibly arrogant, I don't feel that very often.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some really good arguments. I don't know if they're original to her or if she found them somewhere, but they are really good arguments. And I think she did a good job on this one. I'm guessing that maybe you disagree, or you think this chat will disagree.
I think there are people in the chat that are suspicious of Sh0e. So I am a little bit, but not like of her intentions, but rather the compatibility of her values. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, I mean, well, we can get it. I don't know. We should watch the video. So and before I say anything, but let me just get my advanced scene switcher up and ready.
Okay, and
so that
I'll do the things. I'll do the things.
Yeah,
while
do
you
the things.
All right. So if you want to send us a message at any point throughout the show, and we do these shows live, which generally involve some technical difficulties, but we do it live so we can respond to people in real life. That's one of the things we've always done, is try to have that community component. But if you would like to support the show and send a message live, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That goes directly to our community. And you can send it at any point and we'll see it and receive it in our community at badgernation.online. But anyway, send those messages to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way to send us a message and to give us a tip, because you avoid YouTube's obscure comment appraisal system and get a little bit more space to elaborate upon your thoughts, and we get the full benefit of whatever funds you send. So it's a win-win. And not so much win for YouTube, but they can afford a loss now and then. And so feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And if you'd like to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. And big announcement, and I'll keep doing this, we are going to be having another meetup in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, September 13th. So that's 2 months away. Almost exactly 2 months, I think, on the Saturday, or was it the previous Saturday? But anyway, it's about 2 months away. We have a venue, and so we're going to be able to mingle and have a space to do so where we will not be chased off the grounds. I don't know if we were chased off last time, but it felt like we were
escorted.
We were.
You mean wait, what are you talking about? Like the last time?
Last year.
Last year. We were nothing happened. We were fine.
Nothing happened. The Dutch proprietor was just a little concerned about how many there was of us. So anyway, feedthebadger.com/meet feedthebadger.com/events for information about that event, and feedthebadger.com/support to support us. It should all be in the low bar. Do you have the meeting link in the low bar?
I don't think I have the
I'll get that to you so you can slot it in into the slots. All right, so those are the things. I think Brian is now ready. So let us.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
So before we get started, we did get a super chat from Chris Mizuno. So thank you, Chris Mizuno, for the $5. You didn't add any comments. If you wanted to say something, go ahead and do so. So thank you for the $5, Chris Mizuno. All right, so I have the video up. I don't know what part you wanted me to play, so I didn't grab time codes, but we can jump into
after the intro is fine.
Yeah, after the intro. So this is called The Male Loser Epidemic. And so let's play it from here.
Sure.
Right. Now let's get back to the video. With all these issues men are facing, they seem to be moving to the right and the Republicans more, since the left and Democrats have essentially just become the young men eat and die movement. Months ago, I covered how the Democratic Party was losing young men, and I predicted Kamala Harris would lose in part because of young men overwhelmingly voting for Trump. And I was correct. Well, now the Democrats have unveiled their final solution to the right-wing male loser epidemic. Democrats spending millions to learn how to speak to American men and win back the working class.
Okay, let me pause it there for a second. Is this the part that you wanted, that where Sh0e gets it right? Because I know there's like the bit where she goes into Tommy Lauren and
I like
what's her
that part too.
name?
But yes,
Laura
this is
Ingraham.
one of the bits.
Okay, all right.
I mean, like, I'm not going to speak for you, but I thought that again, this was pure gold, and I have had it in, like, I've had it out with Sh0e. It was to be honest, it was a really weird sort of argument that I had with Sh0e. And I don't know if she still agrees with her position that she was arguing against me with at this point in time, because many, many years ago, in the before times, guys, so you can imagine how many years ago it was, I tweeted a condemnation of various individuals addressing the Memorial Day. I believe it was Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. It was the Memorial Day controversy, and I basically said these individuals are not mentioning the fact that this is majority male. This is a majority male sacrifice.
It's like 99% male.
Yeah,
because
it's
you're looking at the
male.
deaths in war throughout all of history. That's what Memorial Day is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The deaths in war throughout all of history, and nobody's mentioning the fact that it's 99% male. Just like the deaths of my camera is 99% due to Void Cat, which she's attempting to do again. And I just mentioned that, and Sh0e noticed that I said this to AOC, I believe, and then said, "Oh, well, she gets a lot wrong, but just this is not one," thinking that it was a partisan commentary. But the thing is, I had also tweeted Melania Trump, who had done a similar thing. So it wasn't partisan. It was a general observation about how we treat men's sacrifice in the past. And I explained that if we ignore the fact of men's sacrifice in the past for the society that we enjoy, we are going to lose that society. And I think that a lot of that's been borne out as we have in the after times, after the before times. So that was my statement. And I think eventually she got what I was saying, but not before she sent like a billion zillion of her gremlins to not that she necessarily intended to send.
What, do you hate women in the military, Allison?
Yeah,
and also women?
Yeah. And but I don't know if she intended to send her gremlins.
No, but like
her gremlins were sent. They were sent.
She may not have intended to, but it just shows you like how easy it is for someone to conclude you must hate women because you are pointing out a factual statement that just happens to be majority men. People immediately see that as a strike against women, and we're so conditioned to do that like you can't make any like statements without considering and making vocal your consideration for women in said statement. No matter what it is, you have to be like, okay, just so you guys know, I think women are fine. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this thing I mean to talk about, And it just shows you where we are. Like, that's where it is.
But essentially my overarching point is, again, this was a majority male sacrifice throughout all of human history. And on only male sacrifice, if you look at conscription and the draft, I think Israel is the only place that genuinely drafts women or conscripts them.
They probably don't have them fight, though, but
No, they can exempt themselves from fighting. So this has been a majority male sacrifice, a majority male compelled sacrifice throughout history. And because we don't recognize it and we whitewash it, we operate under a false worldview that will eventually, cause problems, because you can't lie to yourself forever. Right. And that was the basic statement that I made. And I think, again, my prediction is sort of being born true in the current era after the before times. And so that was basically the argument I got into it with her. Karen eventually stepped up and talked to her, and I think she conceded the point slightly. And I think really what happened was it was a misreading of why the intent behind the tweet. So it's not like I haven't, and I don't hold a grudge, because, Twitter, everything is absolute, the Twitter is the place for blood sports, shall we say. So, it happens. But yeah, in this case, I think she's spot on, almost from stem to stern in this particular video. I watched it with relish, actually. And again, like I said, there was points that she made, and I was thinking, wow, I wish I had made those points, because they're very on point. And yeah, she starts with a real banger. The left has become the eat shit and die party for men. And men are taking notice, and they're realizing that maybe they don't want to eat shit and die. And they're moving away from the left. And that she puts it very succinctly, and I think she's accurate. And the left is going to continue to lose men. I mean, the right may too as well. Really, I honestly think we need a anti-government spending party, but I guess that ship sailed with Ross Perot. Regardless, the left is going to continue to lose the young male vote as long as a principal part of its plank is to force them to take responsibility for things that they have not actually benefited from and they are not personally responsible for. Right? Okay, so let's continue. I'm really trying to prevent Voidcat from destroying this stream.
All right, I'm going to play more.
Democrats have blown millions of dollars on efforts to appeal to American men who turned to President Donald Trump in droves on Election Day in hopes of winning back the working class. Democrats have spent $20 million on their efforts, with donors and strategists holing up in luxury hotel rooms, brainstorming how to convince working class men to return to the party. Ah yes, nothing more relatable to working class men than luxury hotel rooms. Great job, guys. The plan? Codename SAM, or Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, promises to use the funds to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. The effort also recommends Democrats buy advertisement in video games, among other things. The Democratic Party is treating young men like exotic animals they're studying. Now, as you can see here is the young man in his natural habitat, in a dark, messy cave surrounded by Taco Bell wrappers and empty Mountain Dew bottles. Here is another young man, as you can see, also dwelling in a dark cave. This one has dyed his hair blue to scare off potential predators. Unfortunately, it also scares off potential mates, but moving on, here is another young man, we think. We're not quite sure about this one. We're still studying it. Listen, Democrats, instead of spending $20 million.
All right, sorry, I am struggling with the Voidcat today. All right, I have given you treats. They are up there. Go up there. All you have to do is go up the last 6 inches. All right, it's not enough. She's too lazy to do that. Oh, okay. So no, I think this is, again, spot on. Did you have any commentary, Brian? You stopped it here?
No, I mean, I've covered the speaking to men thing already on this channel a couple of times. And it's really just so you know, I don't know if Sh0e makes this realization, but okay. Framing this as a party thing, the Democrat Party, but I think it's a leftist thing, which is basically much bigger than the party. It's more of a philosophical problem. They're not actually concerned with trying to help men with their problems. They're only trying to figure out a better way to market their bad ideas to appeal to men. So exactly. It's not like they're there to help men. And I don't know if Sh0e realizes this, because I know she's a lefty too. So she's basically like, well, we should market to them better. But she knows that's not the solution. And the reason why men went to Trump in record numbers, and also a lot of women, by the way, it had more to do with the pragmatic, it was the pragmatic, an obvious answer. And men were like, yeah, you know what? We're not gonna, sink this ship like so many of these modern single women are doing right now, where they're like, I don't care if the whole country burns down if I can kill my babies. So these guys are like, well, we're just going to step up and do something. And I don't know if Sh0e is going to be able to address that, because this is like a paradoxical conflict that is not resolvable without actually addressing men's concerns. And what men's concerns involve is actually the government becoming less of an obstacle to their thriving, while also providing them the space to be able to do what they want with their life, which is basically simple things like have a decent job, buy a home, and get married to a woman that doesn't hate him for what he is, so they can have kids. And these things, you can't, first of all, most of that stuff you can't actually like use the state to fix. You can only ask the state to get the fuck out of the way. So that's one problem. And of course, you know, like I saw an interview with a congressman, I can't remember his name. He was on Tucker Carlson's show. It was like a week ago, and he said that everybody in Congress is a little bit communist because they all want power, no matter what. So this is why when I talk about this stuff, I don't talk about Democrats and Republicans. I don't talk about it because it's pointless. I talk about leftists and rightists, or statists and people who are a little bit like less statist. There's everybody in some degree is statist. It's just varying degrees of statism. I mean, even I am to some degree, because we need things like cops and firemen. So, but like the issue is that the left is actually just interested in, they believe in, you know, things like you know, government planning and policy and all of these things, because they feel like that's what the role should be. And I think that that is an obstacle to men for a number of reasons, not just their ability to thrive, but also their ability to compete for, you know, like a partner. Because guess what? You can't beat the government when it comes to money and resources. So women will vote for that. So this is something that I don't know if Sh0e ever, like, if she's going to be wrestling with this, but it is an inevitable thing you have to reckon with. The role that women play in making the state the way it is. And they are the reason why it is the way it is. This is actually the reason why Republicans and Democrats are both statists, because they're both trying to appeal to women. That's how you appeal to women.
Yeah. Well, to take away the fear of a world in which, you know, there's uncertainty, because women are more risk adverse. And this is 100% proven in studies. Women are more risk averse than men. And people will, to the hills, praise women for the behaviors that they like as a result of women being risk adverse, but they won't admit to the negatives of being risk adverse, which is that you want to embrace more government control over risks. And something I wanted to bring up in conjunction with your concept about statism versus not statism. The state, when it tries to work with the meritocracy, that would be the free market. I'm not going to use capitalism because that's, who the heck knows what it means anymore.
Capitalism,
but the free market,
is a word invented by socialists to criticize property rights.
Yeah.
It's just property rights.
Yeah, well, I mean, how else are you going to incentivize people's labor? I mean, communism usually just uses guns and gulags, but regardless, the free market, so the idea that people can earn based on their labor and the products that they make. Now, a government's relationship to the free market is, I think, the real question here and what we need to look at. Because so if you take something like education, for example, education, as I think originally conceived, was intended, like public education was intended to reduce the gap between people on top of the economic ladder and those below. So you get an education, you get become basic literate in order to be able to reduce the gap. So reduce the class gap. And now education in many senses seems to be more about indoctrinating young people into the pet projects of the bureaucratic class of the United States and other Western nations. You see the difference? So one is trying to get to even out and give poor children some kind of step up to be able to compete within the free market by giving them a good basic education, literacy, etc. And the other is basically teach them to parrot and support bureaucratic pet projects, which generally involve finding the smallest number of people that you have to advocate for and removing everyone else's rights in advocacy for them, and also getting a lot of money, right? Let's face it. So it's gone from actually trying to break down class and support upward mobility in the working class to supporting these kind of moral caste systems that benefit government spending. That make okay. I'll leave that there. I'll let people chew that over, and let's continue.
All right, let's keep going.
$dollars to do that stupid. Maybe you should, I don't know, actually listen to men. I listen to men for free all the time. All I have to do is read my comment section. Let's see here. ShoeOnHead is a perfect example of why we need to repeal the 19th. Greetings from Albania. I hate women so much it's unreal. Ooh, shoo, mommy, milkies, 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 mommy, mommy, mommy. One time I got my penis stuck in a soda bottle. Okay, on second thought, maybe my comment section is not the best source.
Since Trump scored big with young male voters last election, Democrats are spending $20 million to learn how to speak their language. I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
But the stats don't bear that out now.
Thank you.
Look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men.
Okay, let's stop for a second here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know The View is going to be a toxic pit of shrewdom, which nevertheless exerts political power in the U.S. now, or maybe it always has.
It does.
Yeah, it's like the modern day
for
extension.
like women, like women who are at home, because it's like it's like daytime TV.
As like a modern day extension of the custom of looking on, in which women would influence the political process because in the past votes were public, they would watch the people the men that men voted for and made their opinions known in the process. So the View is almost like an extension of that. And so I guess it makes sense that it has become a political force, and yet it's incredibly vapid. So yes, but you'd almost expect this from The View. Then you have Fox. That's in Tommy
Does that shock
Lauren.
you, Allison? Does that really surprise you? Modern women are modern women everywhere. Tommy Lauren's not conservative. I'm sorry. She's a girl boss feminist, 100%. She just found a way to make her money. This doesn't surprise me at all. She's just like the other bitches. She's just younger, and she's on Fox News doing the same shit. So, look, I'm sorry. It's just women that are pundits are generally all on the same page. This is one of the reasons why I brought up Hannah Cox back in the day when she was like, I'm the libertarian feminist. And I was like, yeah, you're basically the same as everybody else. And sure enough, she is. Because all women want to hold on to whatever power they have. Whatever the illusion of that power, to be honest. And Tommy Lauren she is a modern woman, just like The View, just like Hannah Cox, just like all these other people. So, I mean, for me, it's not shocking at all. Like, even Megyn Kelly was all on that bandwagon as well. You know, I mean, she kind of like tilted a little bit when, the election was coming up, and she did say, you know what, we need to help men out. But even then, I wouldn't be surprised if she went back on that girl boss thing, So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It doesn't surprise me, though, Allison. This is not at all shocking. I talked about this, too.
Okay, so realist in the room, if you want to stop being put into timeouts by me, please actually put forth substantive points that are of interest to the arguments being made. Stop making continuous stream of insults. Right?
Oh, is he insulting me?
Yeah, he's insulting you, Brian. I'm tired of it.
I know. No, it's okay. I think he's got a crush on me, and I'm sorry, but
yeah, I know.
I'm married. I don't swing that way.
Do you know what? Do you know what happened today? Chorizo somehow became today's HBR or top fan. He also sent us money. So I think we're having another codger situation with Chorizo. He hates us so much he has to send us money.
He did. I read it out loud, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chorizo.
Chris Mizuno.
I just call him Chorizo because it's easier.
I know. I get it. I get it. I think chorizo is delicious. So, but anyway, okay, let's keep going.
Spicy, just like Chris.
Kids. They want to.
No, I just said that chorizo is delicious but spicy, just like Chris.
Oh yeah, sure.
Manizo. Okay.
have stable families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash.
Oh no. The very night I was sitting on my couch writing the script to my video about how the Democrats are spending $20 million to relate to young men, this came on my TV on Fox News. A Tommy Lahren and Laura Ingraham segment about stay-at-home sons, men who still live at home. Literally minutes after this aired, it went absolutely viral on Twitter for not good reasons. So we are going to unpack this piece by piece. Because even though everyone was mocking it and making fun of it, as far as I saw, nobody was really dissecting it and breaking down exactly why she was so egregiously wrong. So come join me in debunking the male loser epidemic. Because who—
All right. This time code is about over.
Okay, that's fine. I like her analysis of this, and she actually goes into where this came from, which was, I believe, just a tweet. And oh no, it was from Jeopardy. A contestant on Jeopardy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just said,
yeah.
I am a stay-at-home
He
son.
won like a bunch of money, and he like lives at home with his parents. He's got like a master's degree in some STEM major, but he's not doing anything with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So he basically said, I am a stay-at-home son, as like just a throwaway comedic line. And then the femosphere seized upon it and turned it into a massive anti-male propaganda campaign. I'm going to just call it the femosphere now. If they're going to say this like loose collection of things that interest men are the manosphere, like fitness, health supplements, protein powder, shaving, all of that stuff is part of the manosphere. It's
jobs,
but
also not jobs.
Yeah, also not jobs. Yeah, just anything associated with men is part of the manosphere. I'm going to say that this much more consolidated, funded, and more regimented, controlled, industrial, and institutional, government, corporate, NGO, mass, the femosphere, or perhaps the Death Star. I'm going to start calling it that because, to be honest, there is a lot better argument to say that the femosphere is more organized, more funded, more dangerous, more inculcated, like more infiltrated, woven into the fabric of society than the manosphere. Like the femosphere is a billion, if not $trillion industry. And this is what we found from USAID, from feminist NGOs, from all of this other stuff, from exporting this feminism into the rest of the world to destabilize regions. It is a gigantic, massive, powerful, and sort of evil collection of organizations, all with a very clear mandate that they all share. So let's call it the femosphere. And as I've said before, the difference in size between the femosphere and the manosphere is the femosphere is the size of the Death Star. The manosphere is the size of an Ewok yurt. Like it's the size of the Ewok village. The Ewoks,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I said that the femosphere is the size of the Death Star.
Right.
The manosphere is the size of the Ewok village.
Yeah, but the Ewok village did beat the stormtroopers. They just had to be really clever about it. They also ate them. But anyway, they ate them and fed them to the rebels at the end of the movie. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Oh, good Lord. The darkness at the heart.
I don't know if Lando knows that he was eating stormtrooper at the Ewok village, and he couldn't really say no because it would have been impolite. But
this is long pork.
Long pork. So okay, let's keep going.
Who else better equipped to talk about men's issues than two stupid blonde bimbos? Hold on one second. 3 stupid blonde bimbos. Sorry. I felt left out. All right, let's go. Wait. I need my gamer fuel. See? I do drink it. That one's for you, Tectone.
It's a major problem. And, you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big
There was
problem
one
when it
person
comes-
who said,
Yeah,
one dude,
one
and
person.
they just latch onto it like some kind of massive latching machine. And they're like, we can use this to fuel our death laser. Like, anyway.
Yeah. I think Tommy, he was brought on to like get a soundbite and raise her platform. So I think they saw this as an opportunity to jump on for some ratings. And it did work in that regard.
I think declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children, you know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And that's why we have declining birth rates and a lot of other problems in society. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air, meet people in real life. Let's just get back to basics.
Boy, it didn't take long for them to blame men, or at least Tommy Lauren.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, I blame cats.
You blame cats, or you just blame
Yeah,
young
they've
cats?
captured our brains in order to make us serve them and turn off our desire to have children or something. I don't know. Toxoplasmosis. It's a real thing. You know, let's listen to the show Sh0e.
Okay.
So first of all, this stay-at-home son thing is not a real thing. It was a random throwaway, self-deprecating joke some contestant on Jeopardy said. One f***ing guy. Because I guess there's nothing else important going on that they could cover on the news. They literally made this into a fake phenomena so they can on young men. Meanwhile, Democrats are spending millions of dollars trying to win back young men. Oh no, the young men are leaving us in droves. How do we get them back? Don't worry, I got this. Hey, you fat, lazy, Cheeto dust-covered slobs. F*** you. Nice. Thanks. I love you. I love you too. So the amount of young men living home.
Okay, let's keep going. I don't know if you can say anything.
Yes.
What?
I don't know if we can say anything to that. Except it's
No.
hilarious. I find it hilarious.
Is it because they're lazy bums and just want to order DoorDash all day? No. And also, they're not paying for DoorDash, Tommy. They're financing it. Come on.
That's terrible.
There are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And that's why we have declining birth rates. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air.
Have either of you tried applying for a job as a young man recently? Or tried buying a house on the salary of one of these young men? Have you experienced the dating market, been on the dating sites as a young man? No? Interesting, okay. Just wondering. Listen, I know the average age of a Fox News viewer is like 70 nowadays and you need to pander to them, but Tommy, you are like 2 years younger than me. You know this shit isn't true. Why are you talking like this? Why are you talking like a f***ing boomer? I'm sorry, I have no other word for this, but I hate this like generational pick-me shit. I was born in the wrong generation. I'm not like those other young people. And you know what? She's not like those other young people. Not all young people can afford a nice—
Well, actually, Tommy looks really old. I'm surprised that she's younger than Sh0e, actually, because, yeah, Tommy looks like she's got a lot of mileage. There's a lot of mileage on that vehicle. So, but anyway.
Blondes age differently, you know.
Yeah, I guess
age
so.
a little bit
I guess
worse.
so. Well, yeah, I think Sh0e is Italian. So, like,
she'll probably look like this until she's like 85. And then instantaneously she'll become like the crypt keeper.
Yeah, the pasta bomb is gonna land and she's gonna look really old, turn into my mom. But anyway. Okay, I just pause it there so that we don't get bananaed.
nose job and lip filler and get a cushy job on Fox News based entirely on merit, I'm sure. The main problem with this brain-dead boomer-ass take is not only is it cringe, but it's completely divorced from reality. This slop is specifically designed for people who paid like $5 for a f***ing house. And listen, not all boomers, okay? My parents are boomers, they are lovely people. A lot of
What?
I'm not sure if the boomer rant is necessary.
Yeah, we can skip it. Okay. I mean, I don't know how long it goes for.
I think
we could jump ahead
well,
to
I
the
could
next
actually make a
section.
commentary on this. I think that
Okay.
I think what boomers might be talking about is, yes, there were jobs, but they were also like a lot of manual labor and not very soul fulfilling jobs. And I think this generation doesn't want to do the manual labor or doesn't want to do it for the prices that are available, which will make everything else very expensive. The cost of living will go up if we make manual labor give the kind of wages that the current generation wants. But here's the thing, we're asking something very different from the current generation than we did from the boomers. The boomers, having a family and raising children was accessible to them because they weren't at the what is that cancer term? The cancer hadn't metastasized at that point. So they weren't dealing with generations of women who literally take an identity from rejecting men, which is a consequence of the whole feminist framework around feminists deciding how men and women should relate to each other. Feminists made that decision and they taught it in schools. We're experiencing the fallout. So for those individuals who want a family, it's unlikely to happen for them. So there's no real incentive to take those jobs because a lot of them, way back when, almost all of humanity took jobs in order to have a family. Now that seems to be a pie in the sky for the average worker. So what are you asking of them? You're asking to take an identity from your job, not your family. And now these individuals want a job that gives them more than just money for a family. They want a job that makes them be fulfilled on other levels emotionally and in terms of who they are, who they feel they are. And I think that simultaneously that means that, you can't really judge boomers for the circumstances they were in. Yes, they took shitty jobs in order to pay for families that they could actually afford. And you can't really judge the current generation either because they're being asked to take shitty jobs for no positive sense of self, no sense of purpose. So they want the debt to come from the jobs. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, they want jobs to pay more. So I'm like, maybe we should quit it with this like generational conflict, maybe a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a desire to blame the boomers for stuff, and but I don't think it's completely unfounded because my understanding of the criticism of the boomers is they were essentially the generation of the 60s. So like all of the kind of social ills we have now are downstream from the hippies of the 60s, of which like my parents are hippies. I know they're boomers, and that's part of it. The other part of it is that the boomers didn't really like prepare their children for the future to inherit like what they had, whereas previous generations did. And so you have like boomers now that like, they want to hold on to all their stuff until they die because they've become far more materialistic than say the silent generation or the greatest generation. I'm not saying it's all on them. I'm just trying to put like I'm looking at it like trying to be as fair as possible to the people who have those criticisms. But that being said, you could in turn then say, well, maybe it's their parents' fault that they're like this. And then it goes, right? I think that ultimately what everybody wants is to have a job that they can support a family on and is within reach, because a lot of people have dream jobs, but like most people don't get those dream jobs.
Yeah.
They just do what they have to do. The problem is that I think a man in particular is willing to work whatever job he's able to work with dignity and appreciation if he's doing it for a family that he wants to support. And if there isn't one, then a man's not going to do anything more than he needs to just for himself to survive. So like, because, it goes back to the joke of, If men didn't have to give women nice things to attract them, they would live in a cardboard box or in like a studio apartment with, you know, a mattress and a PlayStation, and that'd be it. You know, TV, a PlayStation, a mattress. And but they generally, and I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not making a blanket statement before any men get upset and triggered in the comments. But I think in general, that's why men achieve, is because they want to attract women. But if women are saying they don't need them, then men have no incentive to achieve, because it's like, well, what am I doing it for? You know?
Yes. So you might as well take an identity from your job, or a sense of purpose from your job, which means that you are not interested in the labor jobs because you don't really get a sense of purpose. Maybe in like the utilities, I think, because, you know, there's a sense that you are doing something very important for society. But who knows? Like,
well, there's people who are garbage men, and I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't think their job is glamorous, but like, that's what I'm saying. Like, some, you know, we have this, like, we tend to overly focus, not we, but like, I see when people are talking about jobs, they're always talking about like these kind of like high flying, prestigious jobs, like in STEM and in tech and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but a lot of people, they just want to, you know, like what happened in West Virginia, where they closed down all the coal mines because of, you know, global warming. A bunch of men who's didn't really have like the greatest skill set, but they were hard workers, they all lost work. And I'm like, well, everybody should be able to do something, you know, that is within their pay grade, with dignity, and be able to make some living off of it. And and again, I would say that, you know, what happened in West Virginia in the hollers is a product of government interference ultimately, like, you know. But so yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I think that the idea that men have to romantically take something out of their work is, I think it's a little bit pie in the sky, because I think that most people, they just do whatever they can do. They work in a factory, they work in a machine company, they drive a truck. None of it's glamorous, none of it's high status. But the problem is that women are the ones that are looking for high status jobs in men. They want to be able to say, my man is a lawyer, my man is in tech, my man programs AI, not my man drives a truck. My man is, you know, like works in a warehouse, you know, driving a forklift.
You know, definitely. There's this idea you want a partner or a man who makes your girlfriends jealous. But how do you all have a man who makes your girlfriends jealous? It's impossible. It's why women with this kind of mindset end up aiming for the top 10% of men. And even if all men became the top 10% of men, there would be a top 10% of that men, because the idea of making your girlfriends jealous is a constantly moving target that men can never actually hit. But what I was trying to say is, and this is not with any condemnation, but if having a family is out of your reach because we live in the era of every man has to be in the top 10%, which is absolutely physically impossible, then you would probably want to have a job that gives you a sense of purpose if you're not going to get it from family. And I'm not saying that to condemn men who think that way, or these so-called alleged stay-at-home sons.
Well, stay-at-home sons is just a new way of describing failure to launch, which is a very old, like, it's been going on forever, you know.
Yeah,
it's not like a new thing. But
I'm
yeah,
not saying this like, I'm not saying this is in terms of condemning it. I'm saying this seems like, to me, like a natural response, and explains some of the things that I'm seeing, which is like there is some evidence that young men and probably young women don't want to take the jobs that boomers necessarily took, but they don't have the same incentive structure that boomers had. So that may be why they don't want to take those jobs. So that's the only thing that I'm pointing out. And it's not a condemnation. It's like, we should be giving somehow, or as a culture, we need to have some thought to how young people pair up in a way that secures a stable future for them. And that stable future means they pair up and they don't get divorced, right? And our society we've just dropped the ball on that. We have decided that instead of caring about the future and making sure people pair off, or we create a circumstance in which they can do so, we have decided to embrace whatever feminists came up with, pulled out of their ass about the relationship between men and women, which is like the exact opposite of bringing men and women together. If you think about it, it's basically saying that they're enemy camps, that men oppress women. And of course, in academic feminism, they assert that men use rape and domestic violence to uphold patriarchy. So men oppress women through rape and domestic violence. Where do you go with that when you're teaching children at this point that that is the relationship between men and women? Where do you go with that? You go to hell. All right. Let's listen to some more.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just looking something up. Okay. So here we go.
Of you guys are boomers, but when the baby boomer generation sends its people, it is not sending their best. They are not sending you. They're sending people who have lots of problems. They're bringing the housing crisis. They're bringing wage stagnation. They're falling for AI-generated photos on Facebook. But some, I assume, are good people. But my god, I truly believe they do not understand how good they had it. They could support a family on a single income. A single income from a job that didn't require a college degree. Their leaders didn't prostitute away their economic future for some cheap plastic shit from China. They inherited the greatest economy known to man, and they pretend it's a paradise that they earned. I just don't understand, like, why don't boomers and spiritual boomers like Tommy Lauren see people struggling and go, wow, I wish I could fix this. They should have it better than I had it. And you wonder.
Well, the boomer generation was also called the me generation. Again, it goes
Yeah.
back to like that hippie thing. And they had it really good then, like in terms of their economy was so good that they were brats. So one of the things I was looking up, I was curious about was how well were boomers doing in terms of their marriage rates and divorce rates as compared to later generations. And from what I see here, it seems, this is what I found out, divorce rates among baby boomers born 1946 to 1964 are notably higher than those of later generations, particularly when considering gray divorce among those aged 50 and older. Baby boomers have the highest divorce rates of any generation studied, especially in later life. Isn't that interesting? So the hippies of the hippie generation have the highest. Now, later generations like Xers, millennials, and Zoomers. I think Zoomers are of the age of they're getting married now. They're like in their 20s and 30s. The alphas are still too young to look at, but they're just not getting married. So they you're not going to get the divorce rates. But there was a massive spike in divorces during the boomer generation. Obviously, the boomers themselves are products of marriage. That's why it's called the baby boom, right? Like the people came back from war and they were like, we're going to have to repopulate the country after World War II. So the boomers have the highest divorce rates of any generation studied, especially in their later life. Between 1990 and 2015, divorce rates for adults age 50 and older doubled from 5 to 10 divorces per 1,000 married persons. For those 65 and older, the rate tripled. And a lot of this also had to do with the fact that no-fault divorce had just come, like they had been embraced by, this unique time in history. So, and Gen X has lower divorce rates than boomers. Millennials have the lowest, but they're also not getting married. And Generation Z, we can't measure right now because they're too young to tell, but they're not getting married either, or they're getting married very late. So, youngest Gen Zs are still like 13. I think that they're maybe. I know that these are not like, measuring the generations is not solid, but they're around 20-ish years old, Gen Z. So they're probably at the point where they're thinking about it. But I wanted to look at that because what I'm wondering about is how much the zeitgeist of the boomers in their time contributed to this problem, and also their sort of like blinders on like what's going on. Because if you grew up in the best time in history, you probably don't think there's anything that you have to be stewards of, like your own kids. And they're obviously thinking about themselves when they just get divorces because they're like, this isn't working, and I would be curious to see which sex was more likely to initiate divorce, but it was the divorce rates did spike when no-fault divorce was introduced during the boomer generation. And I think it was Ronald Reagan that put that one into action. So you can thank Reagan for that. But anyway, are you distracted, or should I keep playing?
No, keep
or
going.
did
Let's
I?
keep
Okay.
going.
I wonder why so many millennials and Zoomers don't want kids. I want to make the world a better place for my children. I want to make the world a better place for my children. Ugh. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you spoiled brat. Children. Not happening.
Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men.
Young men are becoming lazy because they're becoming feminized. So they're becoming lazy because they act more like women? What did she
Yeah.
I think I called Tommy out for that as well. I think I seem to recall that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no getting around that. You just said it, and
Yeah. Or it was somebody else who was oh no, it was the bro whisperer Withers.
Oh yeah, Dean
Yeah,
Withers.
he's or actually you can go to the left and they're constantly insulting men by implying they're like women constantly. And I find that really amusing because they're the ones who call out femophobia. And yet, from what I can tell, they're also the ones who use it the most. Because the right is more likely to say something like, you know, women are behaving in this way because you're not doing something right as a man. And it's not that women are lesser than men. It's that men fail to live up to the masculine standard in order to properly lead women. Whereas the left, so far from what I've seen this year, really goes into the, for example, Donald Trump and Elon Musk behaving like teenage girls having a spat, and then other kinds of shaming just like that. So comparing men in order to shame them. The left has really been on a tear doing that this year, that I've noticed. Although this was Tommy Lauren doing it. So I guess I'm just wittering. My apologies.
Tommy Lauren's a feminist.
Yeah. Okay. It's something it's something I noticed with feminists. It's something I noticed with women who buy into, or people who buy into the patriarchy narrative, is that when they want to shame men, they use that you're like a woman. And it's like, well, what does that make you think of women? I remember there was somebody who accused me of something on Twitter, and they said, you think like a woman. I'm like, well, I am one. So
yeah.
Okay.
Just like a woman. I still don't have my soundboard yet. So
all
right. No, I know. I got some work to do over the weekend.
Yeah.
I may have to reinstall Windows and start all over because this thing is using too much CPU. So I have to start over. But anyway.
I know there's like a decrease in testosterone or something happening, but men are moving right-wing all over the world. Does that correlate with the feminization? Or, I mean, there are suspiciously a lot of far-right femboys, so maybe. But here's the thing, Tammy. There is absolutely no evidence that young women want to start families more than young men. None. In fact, all the data says the exact opposite.
Another thing I appreciate.
64% of women younger than 50 say they just don't want to have children. No reason, they just don't want them. Versus 50% of men who say the same.
Yeah, this is good. Like, she did a lot of good research to annihilate these stupid arguments. I don't know. We didn't skip the part where she points out the whole thing with immigration taking people's jobs.
Later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was a really good point. Okay, let's keep going.
Another study by Archbridge Institute shows the same. 63% of women without children said they have no desire to have a child, while only 50% of men said the same. For men, the most commonly cited factor was personal finance, but among women, the strongest reason not to have a child was their desire to maintain their personal independence. Basically, they don't want to give up their brunch and mimosas. They've been ass-blasted with propaganda their whole lives, telling them their lives will be ruined, their bodies will be ruined, they'll never have fun again, they'll be miserable forever. forever if they have children. And as
So would you say then, let's go back to because I don't know if she was going to bring this up, but if men's primary reason for not wanting to start a family, or at least like not wanting to get married, start a family, is more about money, because they're like, well, I don't think I can afford it, which I think kind of boils down to, I don't think I can make enough money to attract a woman that would take me on. Like I can't compete, on that ground, like just because of like women just want too much. And so we see the stay-at-home son as this like refusal to grow up, this childish, desire for men to like be perpetually living in a state of adolescence where they just stay at home, live in their mama's basement and play video games and order DoorDash. But a woman who doesn't want to start a family because she wants to continue to go to the club and hang out with her girlfriends and do brunches, that's not childish at all.
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe
and yes,
maybe
women have been propagandized, but
maybe you could argue that women or men's life doesn't change as much because they just continue to work. But they usually end up working more and investing more and being willing to tolerate more in their work in order to provide for their families, which I think just loops back to my point that if men are willing to tolerate more in work to make more in order to provide for a family, then if men know that there's no family likely to result in their work, they probably tolerate less. Is what I'm getting at. Tolerate less soul destroyingness, less purposelessness, etc.
Well,
Okay,
yeah. Why would? Yeah, for sure. Okay.
someone who has had a children, best decision I've ever made. 10/10, highly recommend, would do it again. But yes, this idea that men are the ones primarily responsible for the low birth rates is laughable. We're laughing over here. But honestly, it's not really women or men's fault. There are a lot of factors that play into this. But Tommy, I really gotta ask, is it men or is it you?
This is gonna be the summer of canceling boys.
Oh, well, this is an old one. We responded to this too back when she did this video. This is when I knew Tommy Lauren was just a feminist.
All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful. All of my friends have something going on. Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think it might not be us. It might be you. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
My friends are successful. Men don't give a shit about that. They'd marry a Walmart cashier if she was nice to them.
I think men between the ages of 20 and 30.
Yeah, you would think that. Okay, I'm having flickering, so there may be an issue.
Flickering?
Yeah, like everything's flickering, so that means that we might be dealing with a potential brownout.
You mean
I just
like,
wanted to give
you might lose power?
Yeah, I might lose power because I'm rural. So Tommy Lauren says we are all successful, and apparently you all regard men as trash. Maybe you should have focused on improving your attitude towards men rather than your success if you wanted a man. Possibly.
Yeah. Also, like, how many women have jobs that are just fake? Like they're consultants at Google and they get paid like shit tons of money to just be a woman that works there. I'm a marketing director. I organize meetings. I eat avocado toast, and they get paid really well, which essentially sets men up for failure and her, because she's like, well, all I need to do is find a man who makes twice what I make doing this made up job. Meanwhile, men are getting paid a lot less doing actual jobs. like jobs that allow her to do that job, like men that are doing things that make her job possible, that make her company possible, right? Guys that are working as electricians and laying down, pipe, no pun intended. So anyway, it's just something to think about. Like, she's a successful journalist, commentator.
So
she couldn't do what she does if it weren't for men doing jobs that she looks down on.
Yeah. Okay, guys, send in those super chats. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very much appreciated. So the anti-social contract says in the special chat, boomers took for granted all of the social and cultural advantages of a market economy. They can't relate to living in a world that's been impacted by the policies they supported. Yeah,
Yes.
well, the policies that they supported were based on sort of conceits that ended up facilitating the expansion of the bureaucratic state, because every bureaucrat worth his or her salt wants to be set up as a consultant for a minority group, because they get access to all kinds of funds in order to consult, to represent or to consult for this minority group. And there's no oversight, because if any oversight comes their way, they just call you a racist, sexist, transphobe, homophobe. Okay, so it's just like they open up another vein of slush right towards them with these conceits. So instead of promoting the conceits that actually maintain the meritocracy, as I call it, they promoted conceits that gave justifications to bureaucrats to give themselves gigantic salaries in order to advocate for groups. And the more helpless the group, the better, because if you think about it, there's no oversight from the group either. Like if you advocate for deceased trans lesbian in wheelchairs, who's going to tell you boo? They're dead. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the smaller the group, the less likely that group's going to be like, where is this money going to? It's not going to us. And the less capable the group is to question what you're doing, the better. And I know this sounds really cynical, but these beliefs, these moral beliefs, facilitate it's like feeding yeast sugar. These moral beliefs to the bureaucrats in government are the yeast, and these beliefs are sugar. And then suddenly you have a gigantic overgrowth of yeast, thanks to the boomers wanting to be seen as virtuous and deciding that it was a virtue to destroy the principles and the expectations of the previous generation. Whew. Okay, so yeah, I sort of agree with that. But, you know, I guess it was well-meaning.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
In most cases for marriage, are usually not ready to be husbands and fathers.
That's a cultural issue. So, look,
No, I would actually, back to your point,
Yeah.
I think it's a biological thing.
So let me get this straight. Men are all trash and won't commit and won't leave mommy's basement, and they're destroying the birth rates. But also young men are biologically incapable of commitment and being parents. What? But wait, there's more. She also believes women don't have to bring anything to the table.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider, that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Never before in history have women demanded so much and offered so little. So before we get deeper into this retarded
I was thinking about this. Like there's women who are saying on Twitter, well, the reason why we're rejecting men is because their personalities are not good enough. And I'm like, do you honestly think that over the last like 50 years, women's personalities have improved in relation to men? I don't think so. So what you're saying is that men need to pursue this nebulous personality improvement, which honestly usually seems to amount to getting a six-pack and gaining 3 inches, and also, you know, developing the sociopathic personality style. So let's not forget there are personality factors involved. It's just really ugly ones. And so men need to do all of this, but women need to do less and less in terms of making their personality at all palatable for men. And I don't even mean like becoming like submissive trad wives. I mean not having a philosophy in which you think any man in your life is like out to get you, and that you have to be in some kind of emotional cold war with him. Okay.
Yeah. I got some like, what do you call it? Super things to read out. So Nova Fan sent us a Rumble rant. Thank you, Nova Fan, for $1. And he says, if women want men to be more financially stable to be attractive to women, they need to give up their jobs. Thank you for that, Nova fan. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No.
And then Chris Mizuno gives us $2, another super chat from Chris Mizuno. Thank you. And he says, thoughts on Lauren Southern and Andrew Tate. I will be covering that on the next HBR news show. We don't have to get into it. All I will say is this. All I will say is this. Andrew Tate is innocent until proven guilty, period. That's it. Lauren Southern, I don't trust what she says just because she wrote it in a book somewhere. I don't care what you think about Andrew Tate. He is innocent until proven guilty because that's the way that works, period. That's all.
Okay. And a lot of the men who've been proven guilty,
accused. Yes.
Accused and proven guilty. Some of them, Bill Cosby, started to come out that
Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein.
They didn't do it.
I mean it's I just as an aside, the guys that I've been doing a lot of interviews with, working with Arvis Owens and these guys in the military that have been facing a lot of men get falsely accused and they don't even get tried. They get court-martialed. They get put on sex offender registries. And almost all the time, it's basically like, a man gets involved with a woman. They have a one-night stand. Turns out the woman was lying about her marital status. She was actually married, looking to, get a fling for the weekend. She's afraid she's going to get caught. She accuses the guy of raping her so that her husband will divorce her. And the guy just gets run through the ringer in the court system. And this happens all the time. And they have actually, Pete Hegseth, I think it's the Secretary of Defense, he has basically put forth an initiative that is basically going to treat these allegations a lot more seriously and give those men due process. Yes, no, he is. He's going to change the way they do things. And they're talking about penalties for false accusations as well. So we know this stuff happens. And look, this is this is the last thing I'll say about it, because I don't want to get into it now, because we're talking about this. It's not drama. But when you make an accusation in your memoir or book or whatever, but you did not go to the police or you don't have a report to file, I'm going to be super suspicious. But I think that like I said, go through the trial. Let's see what happens. That's the way the system works, guys. Women don't get to cry something happened and we're just supposed to believe them. That's not reality. Okay. So that's all I'll say about that.
No, that's a good point. And I just wanted to say that somebody sent me a tweet that Lauren Southern sent, and I looked at it and I read the first line and I'm like, oh, this stinks of drama. Then I just was like, okay, I didn't even read it. So it's not drama.
It's not drama, but it is a really shitty thing to do, because the accusation became the whole thing. And it's like, dude, this is not good. Do not do this. This is not good.
Is it against her ex-husband?
No, it's against Andrew Tate. He accused Andrew Tate of drugging and raping her, basically.
Lauren Southern?
Yeah, Lauren Southern. Yes. The woman who had sex with Destiny willingly. So, but again, I don't know. But the thing is, you put this out there in the ether on the internet. I mean, I can only assume you're doing it for attention, to become relevant again. So I'm like, but it's a really, really shitty way to go about it, because you are attacking someone's character and you're doing it in a way that is extremely dangerous. I don't care what you think about Andrew Tate. Okay. If he is guilty, then let's do it the right way. You don't write a fucking book about it. That's the way it works. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but that's the way the legal system works. Women don't get to say this happened, and then we're all supposed to react like it's true. That's ridiculous, and you're retarded if you agree with her or think that she's telling the truth. You're retarded. Just do the legal process. That's why it exists.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, she can write whatever she wants. That's the problem. She can write whatever she wants in her book. That's not evidence of anything. And if it is a false accusation, hopefully he sues her for libel. If it isn't, well, what the hell? She can't go forward with a freaking court case now. So I don't know. Like I said, Lauren Southern is starting to strike me as somebody who just does things for attention. Like you said, Brian. And that's why when I read it, I'm like, I don't know about this.
it's a weird thing to do out of the blue. So, but anyway, let's
Yeah,
get back to
let's keep
this.
going.
Home son narrative. Let's check the Facebook comments of this Fox News video because I am really interested to see what like the typical Fox News viewer thinks about this. If the women are anything like these two, I can hardly blame the men for staying home and not wanting to date them. Blame, blame, blame. These two women have a combined age of 93 and they have 0 children between both of them. You both have repugnant personality types, so listening to this was like male birth control to me. My goodness! Boomers are ruthless! Bunch of sissies. I served 6 years, 2 years in Southeast Asia after Vietnam was over. When I was 18, rent was $450 and I could afford to get my own place. She's so spot on. Nothing screams I'm a loser run from me than a guy living at home in his parents' house with his 12-year-old boy's bedroom decor at age of 30. Thank God we raised our sons to be men, who grew up, lived on their own, found their soulmate.
These are your sons.
That's a woman. That's a woman that made that post.
Yeah, but like, if you're a boomer, these are your flippin' sons. Or your grandsons. Like,
no, but she's saying that this is a flex, okay? This woman is basically saying, I'm a good woman, I'm a better woman than these other women because my kids don't have this problem. So it's not really an attack on the stay-at-home sons, it's an attack on their mothers. She's basically just doing it through the men. She's like using the men as weapons against the other women, you know? That's what I think anyway. I mean, based on this picture, this looks like a woman. So like a grandma.
yeah, there's a lot of what we're seeing, and this is one of the reasons why men, you really can't put it on men. A lot of what we're seeing in the dating landscape, in the social landscape, is occult female aggression and competition that's completely unchecked. Right? There's no check on it. It's why women want the 666, because again, they want a man who makes their girlfriends jealous. But in order to have a man who makes their girlfriends jealous, they have to have a man that's likely, because girlfriends tend to look a lot and have the same level of attractiveness. They have to have a man that is more attractive in some ways than really they can, is reasonable to expect. So they need to go for the top 10% to make their girlfriends jealous, but then that's always moving. And it's like, it's in the dating landscape, if the real criteria for men to live up to is makes her girlfriends jealous, that is a losing game for everyone. Okay? Because there's no way that women can pair up, the average woman can pair up with the average man and make her girlfriends jealous. No way. Why do you even care?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
Beautiful home and started a family. I was out the door at 18, worked on the assembly line at Dodge and in the Air Force at 19, never went back home. I can't relate to this. Yes, we know you people can't relate. We know. But the world has changed. Why can't you people get this through your heads? I will never let my sons stay home. I'm trying to push them out of the nest. Okay, I really gotta ask, is this an Anglo thing? Immediately kicking your kid out when they turn 18 years old? My Mediterranean mind cannot comprehend this. And honestly, why the f would a man leave home, leave his mother's cooking, for a woman who probably can't cook? Not me, though. Personally, I can cook amazing homemade meals. I'll have you know I am a great trad wife.
Bone apple teeth.
Now, unfortunately, Tommy Lauren wasn't the only one pushing.
I find that funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets she justifiably gets a lot of attention because she makes it entertaining. I think ultimately, Brian, the difference between our content and the content of the people who really go viral, they're more entertaining. Let's be frank. And they focus
I'm glad that
on
you finally accepted it.
Yeah, we're not entertaining. We're just like two freaking nerds. Just overthinking things about. I honestly, I don't think it's overthinking, but perceptually, people look at us and you say, "Well, you're overthinking." Maybe me more than you, but you're overthinking things. I'm like, I don't know, because I've predicted a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, it's just because we don't focus on like the entertaining skits and storytelling and other stuff like that. We just focus on talking about this stuff, and So I finally admit it. Yeah, we're not entertaining enough. So I don't know how we'd solve that. Guys can try to figure it out. How do we make ourselves more entertaining? Do I need to learn juggling? Do I need to have a circus act with Scipio and Voidcat? I don't know. Tell us all in the comments below. Okay, keep going.
Okay.
Unless you have a comment.
Lazy young
Well, look, I don't have boxy eyes and a cute girly face, so that's probably going to be a major limit for me.
men
Yeah.
get a job. Bullshit.
Me as well.
Johnson did it referencing
What?
I said me as well.
Yeah.
29-year-old men playing video games all day. Steve Scalise did it with 35-year-old men playing video games all day. And just the other night, I saw this on my TV. Again.
A Wall Street Journal headline got our attention. The new dream job for young men, stay-at-home son.
Oh, good Lord.
The phrase has taken off since 27-year-old Brendan Leo won
I could just, like,
$15,000 on Jeopardy.
I can just see the femosphere with its pincers, like this gigantic mechanical sphere, just stay at home, son. And then it ingests it and then just blaring it out from all of its propaganda speakers everywhere. This thing that it found is like, oh, I can turn this into evil. Ugh. Okay. I know, weird
All right.
image.
And he has a master's degree in political science, but he's unemployed. Grow up, get a job, get a wife, build a family.
Just get a wife, bro. Just get a job, bro.
Oh, get a job? Yeah. Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet and squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into Jobland, where jobs grow on jobbies?
The term welfare queen must have fell out of fashion with Republicans, because it seems even they know the approved safe demographic to go after now. Because it's very obvious what demographic they are talking about when they say young men in their basements playing video games. This just get a job lazy attitude is not surprising, but it's especially funny coming from Fox News of all places. Fox News that spends so much time yapping about immigrants taking American jobs. Fox News will talk for years about how Americans are being screwed out of the workforce. But when this issue manifests itself in Gen Z, suddenly it's a moral failure. The fact is, a lot of American jobs held by men are being lost to automation, offshoring, and yes, cheap foreign labor. Companies and billionaires would rather have cheap labor that they can essentially abuse, not pay fair wages to, just good little worker drones who won't unionize, rather than hire American workers for a living wage.
Oh, so she's making the leftist argument for like the reason why this problem exists. It's not like, you know, we just have a bunch of illegals getting paid next to nothing to do these jobs that men want to do. It's not that you know, these like they're outsourcing a bunch of shit to foreign countries. It's because the people that they are giving this to won't unionize.
All right. Sorry. I actually thought this was pretty on point, honestly, if I could push back on what you said.
No, go ahead.
Unfortunately, I'm completely distracted by Voidcat, so I just have to confirm that this is what was said. She talked about how the right wing, or the political right wing, still a lot of statists, say that the jobs are being taken by immigrants and offshored. And I think there was one other phenomenon that happens.
Automation.
Automation. Yeah, I think she's right. In terms of the pointing out the hypocrisy of it. Like, if you're going to say that jobs are being taken away from American men because of automation and immigration, and then turn around and then blame the lack of jobs on American men, that's not really fair. And I know it's agreeing with the leftists, but I think that, and again, I think it's...
Well, again, she's saying something true, but I think that her prescription is going to be bad for men too.
Well,
it's just like saying, well, what we need is welfare for men. It's like, no, because men will never get welfare. It will just never happen that way. As a matter of fact, the welfare problem is the problem the boomers left us with, because they were voting for policies that they thought would be good for the following generations. Oh, we'll vote in all this socialism shit, and that way we don't have to do it ourselves because the government will do it. And now look where we are. Thanks,
yeah, no,
boomers.
I 100% agree.
It was those social programs that they agreed with that put us in this position. So I am all for men working for that and us doing something about immigration. I think that's all true. We don't need illegals here working for next to nothing. We don't need foreign labor. We don't need people buying from China, mostly women, by the way, like basically getting products that are essentially cheap because they're built with slave labor like prices or slave labor wages, and that should be brought over here. So it's going to require more than just, well, what we need are guys that'll unionize. No, we don't need that. But what we do need to do is stop working with people who essentially have slaves making products.
Okay, fair enough. Now,
yeah,
I think that there's a point here that could be overlooked, which is, and I don't know if she's recognizing the greater underlying thing, which is what I pointed out, which is I don't think young men do want those jobs at these prices because, again, they don't have the incentive structure. They don't have the incentive structure to do these jobs because what are they going to have families at the end of the day because of doing these jobs? And the answer is no. And this is something that I think we need to really wrestle with, because I think what they're importing with this immigrant labor is not necessarily people who will take these jobs, but that's like the outward thing. What they're importing is men who know their women will make families with them if they take these jobs. American men, if they take these jobs, know that that's not the case. So the real issue here at the heart of all of this is, again, selling this anti-natalism, anti-family rhetoric to women, starting with the idea that men are the worst thing they could ever do to themselves. And I don't know, I don't think Sh0e has made all of those connections because, yes, she's coming at this from a more leftist perspective. And yes, I have criticisms of the leftist perspective, but I also have criticisms of the right because, again, you can't keep blaming men for this. You can't. And if you're going to embrace feminism on the right, you are embracing your own destruction, the destruction of whatever it is you want to conserve. And by feminism, I don't necessarily mean the kumbaya, oh, let's all be equal under the law. Fine. That's not a bad thing to aim for anyone because, if you want to make men superior, you better start with equal. But regardless, I'm not talking about that feminism. I'm talking about the feminism, which is, as far as I can tell, all of them that believes that the primary relationship between men and women is defined through oppression. Right? So left to their own devices, somehow men always are in a state of war with women, always aggressive to women, always using violence to subjugate women. Right? And I went on a long walkabout with Grok a couple days ago. I asked Grok to list the female-only communes. And then I asked it if, in feminist conjecture, patriarchy uses violence to subjugate women, have these communes ever been subject to the kind of violence that societies use against other groups that they consider threatening, economically, socially, politically, militarily threatening? And the resounding answer is no. If patriarchy really uses violence to subjugate women, why aren't these women's communes being genocided? Right? This doesn't make any sense. So this entire construct, that's just one example of many, how this entire construct is basically rendered wrong by reality. But we have embraced this, and then this is the knock on, this is the downstream effects of all of it, of embracing this lie about ourselves. It's a lie. Men don't oppress women. Men didn't do all of the things that they did throughout history to stick it to women and tie them to train tracks. They did it in order to protect and provide for women in those things that they were better at. And society always made it so that there was an expectation that when men gained power in terms of like military power or economic success, that was funneled into women. There was always the social and legal expectations of that. So it's like this conjecture is incredibly destructive, and it's destroying young men's desire to participate in the workforce outside of the minimum. And that's completely understandable. And again, what we're importing when we import migrants is those migrants' wives saying, yes, I'll husband you up if you get a job on picking oranges in the States because that's good money for us. And I'm willing to do that. We're importing a actual cooperative relationship between men and women to try to fix our destruction, to try to plaster over the absolute corrupt, decadent mess that we've made of the relationship between men and women by embracing a command narrative that only benefits rich, connected women and rich, connected men. And she can talk about unions all she wants, but I think it's that narrative that actually liquefied upward mobility. Because the people who are doing the best in terms of upward mobility, what do? They don't divorce. They get married. They stay married. They work towards a legacy. They work towards family. They work towards generational wealth. Well, that's been destroyed. And that is the primary means to keep class more flat. That's the primary means. Family, no divorce, legacy, generational wealth. That's why we had it 50 years ago, 75 years ago. That's why in the 50s, there was less class stratification in the dread age of patriarchy. And now we're going into more and more and more class stratification. The middle class is being completely gutted. Why? It's not because of the loss of unions. Maybe that might be a part of it. It's because of the loss of two people working together to create a family, or multiple people, multiple generations working together to create a family. It's the loss of a sense of legacy in the middle class. Okay, that's what I think.
All right. I got a super chow from Great Indoors. He gives us $5 and says, to answer Allison's question about the characteristic of the relationship between the free market / property rights and the state, I would say they are at odds always. Okay. Thank you for that, Great Indoors. All right.
The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money they make. I remember when Bernie Sanders called open borders a Koch brothers conspiracy.
Open borders?
Foreign aid.
No,
Open borders.
that's a Koch brothers proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot
me.
of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Where'd that guy go? A lot of these jobs being
He actually said we should all vote for Hillary Clinton because he hates the billionaires. That's where he went.
This is the problem. This is like the entire time.
Allison, you're breaking up. What was that? Hello? Are you? I can't hear you now for some reason. I think your cat did something. Are you, Allison? You need to do something. Maybe. Oh, there you go. There you go. Wait.
My cat, Void Cat, has destroyed yet another thing. I don't know how he did that. I think it's because the cord. I don't know. Mac cords are not great. Okay, you get away from that cord. Oh, there's a heat vent there. You like the heat vent, huh? Well, no, you can't have the heat vent. Here, I'll squeeze the cat. All right.
Okay. All right. Hello?
No, let's just do more. Yeah, I had a thought, but Void Cat sucked it out of my brain.
Yeah.
It's gone into the void.
are jobs traditionally held by men, like construction and factory jobs, manual labor work. But it's not just manual labor jobs, it's also the tech industry and business industry, which are careers also mainly held by men. There are many examples of this, such as Microsoft recently cutting thousands.
Actually, I'm not so sure about that. Like, yes, men are still predominantly in those industries, but they are pushing women in them hard.
Yeah.
And again,
she covers that too.
Okay. And again, it's sort of irrelevant because not like most men can't do these tech jobs. Most men just do like working class or even like you know, like laborious jobs, and that's all they can do, and that has its own dignity that goes with it, and they should be incentivized to do that. But just paying them more isn't going to be enough. I mean, they want to get what they deserve, but the purpose of working for men is to support a family. If there is no family, then there is no incentive. It's the only thing that you need, and unfortunately, no amount of Bernie Sanders is going to change that.
Yeah,
and there's no way he's going to say, "Ladies, you need to step up." There is no way on earth. It is political suicide. It's political suicide, right? So
there's no way any of them are, because this is the narrative that gets them paid. It
Yes.
is the foundation for all of the other narratives about protecting the purse puppies, the all of the groups of people that are victimized by the system. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Go get your treats. I put your treats up there.
14,000 more H-1B workers this year. Some of those job positions include data scientists, which are 70% men, software developers, which are 80% men, and electronic engineers, which are 90% men, and many more like that. Another example of this was Tesla, where roughly 15,000 American employees were fired in April 2024, and many were replaced with H-1B visa holders. On Twitter, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy tried to chalk this up to these immigrants just simply being the best and the brightest. Yeah, okay. You're paying them less for longer hours and more work, and they're willing to deal with it in order to stay in the country. It's coercive, exploitative, and, dare I say, not very America first.
Yeah, we are dealing with something similar in Canada.
Well, that's why so many people were against it. Like, yes, the people who voted for Trump did not like the H-1Bs. So this is not like, I don't know why you think this is a ding against that. Because that's why there was so much pushback. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy was pushed into obscurity because of that. They were like, nope, you're not our guy. And that because that, like, the people who actually are supporting America, like they're part of this America First thing, they're not putting up with that shit. So yes, that's true.
Okay, so I'm just going to use an example from what I've seen. There was a young man who's sort of involved in the movement, and he left a job that paid significantly more than average, specifically because he knew that it was unlikely to make him more interesting to a woman. So that was the specific reason, and I think there's a lot of that happening. So again, the problem goes right back to, you can get rid of immigration. And you can, but the young men aren't taking the jobs because they're not going to result in a family. I think what's actually going to happen is, again, automation and AI will probably take over these jobs that you're getting rid of immigrants to do, because now we're seeing these factories that have nobody on the floor. Like, there's nobody in the factory. It's just run remotely from like a switchboard by one person or maybe a shift of people. So this is like, I mean, I understand I absolutely 100% understand the desire to maintain the idea that people gain things through their own work, through the sweat of their brow. But at the other hand, there's also all of this stuff that's coming, AI and automation, that is going to significantly change the economic landscape. And somehow we have to deal with it. Because what it's looking like now, and it really doesn't matter if AI can actually do those jobs. What matters is that these companies think it can. So they're holding off actually getting entry-level hiring grads into entry-level positions because they think they might be able to save money by having AI do it. And by the time all of this sorts out, what is the economy going to look like? And then also we have this massive, like, statists in government, right? Massive increase. What a surprise. Massive increase in government spending. Massive. Right? I'm not going to say specifically why it's happening or who's doing it, but we are dealing with one of the biggest increases in government debt in the States, also Canada, but Canada goes without saying. Like, when I point out to the United States, just assume I'm saying Canada is 30 times worse, 100 times worse, right? So massive debt. And the real issue with the debt is, like the modern monetary theorists say, that as long as a state is sovereign, it can issue as much debt as it wants and buy back its own debt. But here's the problem. A lot of this debt is financed. A lot of American debt is financed by something called a carry trade. And what that means is that Americans the American political apparatus, I don't want to say Americans because that's something completely different. The American political apparatus will take out a loan at the lowest rate of interest in the world, and that's because of exorbitant privilege. Americans generally get the lowest rate of interest of any country in the world, and then they will turn around and loan money to another country where they can charge like 4 times the interest, And then the interest off the loan to the loan, like they're taking the loan and loaning to another country, can pay the interest on their loan. So if that interest goes up on American loans, that is going to screw the carry trades. And yeah, that's a big problem too. And that's going to be a big problem if there's no employment income, like employment tax income, because that's the biggest tax income in the States. So there's a lot of really bad shit going on that's about to hit. And we need to think about those things. And it can't just be like arguments over unions and not unions and UBI and not UBI, because this could be absolutely devastating. Like I said, it's the fireworks will start when the carry trade hot potato begins being handed around the governments of the world. All right, so sorry about that little segue into economics. I'm just saying that this is stuff that, and a lot of it, this catastrophe that is looming is because of statists expanding the government beyond what can be reasonably maintained by people. And then statists getting in bed or allowing or enabling or taking part in these gigantic tech bubbles where these companies aren't actually making anything related to a profit. Their stock just keeps going up and up and up on the promise that eventually they will deliver a product that people want. And that's a big part of it too. So it's just imagine this gigantic, what are those balls like in the Japanese game where they just gather up more and more crap? Takamari?
I don't know.
Sorry? Not pachinko. It's like
No.
like it's you roll a ball and it just gathers more and more.
You're talking about Katamari?
Katamari. Like
Yeah.
the debt Katamari ball is just rolling towards us. And it's because of this bullshit, this idea that you can just create debt, give yourself a nice fat trough to feed on, and no oversight. And if people are giving you oversight, well, they're just fascists. How dare? How dare they ask you where their money is, where their tax money is going? They're just a bunch of fascists who just.
Oh, Alison, your microphone did a thing again. I'm going to play more of the video while you figure that out.
Elon Musk for this last year. He told somebody, and I quote, "Take a big step back and yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend." So when it comes to replacing American workers in manual labor with cheap foreign labor, it's deport, deport, deport. But when it comes to replacing his American workers with cheap foreign labor, it's yourself in the face. Interesting. There's also affirmative action and DEI, which are other things Fox News always pisses and shits about. But suddenly, when the conversation is about Gen Z men, the demographic of people who are victims of these things, suddenly these things just like don't exist anymore. Then it's, oh, young men are all just lazy. They just want to be in their parents' basement ordering DoorDash and playing video games. But it's not just the brown people.
Well, because they can't see them. And the DEI thing is actually mostly women, not just brown people. So they're not making the connection. They're not putting these things together. That's true. But it doesn't mean the DEI is not a problem. Allison, your microphone is still not fixed. Hello, Quinn. Okay.
Taking your jobs. I am not beating the allegations with this one. The brown people are not taking your jobs, okay? It's not their fault. They're just cheaper. Aim upwards. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. It's the women, too. Many of the dyeing industries are male-dominated, while...
Oh, think I'm getting sound now because your thing just... Wait.
Yeah, I was gonna say while you went on that rant, you just wait a moment. She's gonna cover the women.
No, I know. You said it before, and I'm hearing myself on your end for some reason.
Oh, frick. Okay, just give me a second here. Let me see what I can do.
It sounds like I'm just picking up your speaker.
Okay,
so I don't know.
that's okay. How about this? Is this better?
Test. Yeah, it's better.
Okay, good. All right. Sorry about that. It was indeed Void Cat. I don't know what the heck she's doing. She wasn't even close to that cable, but apparently she just has an aura of chaos. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
Many of the growing industries are female dominated, and stigma around these jobs being woman jobs usually stops men from working them. Women are overwhelmingly entering and excelling in college and the workforce, and they're more flexible about job position and pay, while young men usually hold out for higher paying, higher position jobs that will make them the breadwinner. Because you see, despite the world progressing and the role of women changing, the role of men has not changed. Every woman is a feminist until the dinner bill comes. But what's crazy is, women might be the ones paying that dinner bill soon. A study from the UK.
No, they're not. They're just going.
No, they'd rather not date.
They'd rather not date. Yep, they're just gonna avoid men. That's another thing too. Like well, maybe Shue knows this, but like women, when women entered the workforce, pay went down across the board. Like it's not a new thing. It's not recent. This was like the moment they entered the workforce and started taking jobs as secretaries or whatever, like, way back in the day, that immediately lowered everybody's wages because women were willing to work for less. They were willing to, take time off to have children or whatever, but it just completely altered the landscape. And you could say, oh, the corporations did that on purpose. Doesn't matter. Women agreed to it. They went along with it. It's like saying, the welfare state, like Lyndon Johnson did this. Yeah, he did. But the women said, I'll take it. And they signed off on that. So we can't separate. You can't separate these things.
No, you can't.
So, yeah, this isn't a new thing. And men have been like getting boned by this forever because even though you would argue that men would make more money, they weren't making it for themselves. This is what I always say about the wage gap, which still comes up to this day for some reason. It doesn't matter who makes more. It matters who gets more money spent on them.
And spent by them.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who makes more. It doesn't even matter who spends more. What matters is who it is spent on. And women they spend money on themselves and men spend their money on women. So I don't even want to measure that gap. It doesn't matter to me, but.
And okay, I'm going to go deep, guys. So just bear with me. So this government spending, this idea that the government can spend and someone else picks up the tab, has it feels like a type of thinking from from that would come out of a particular group of people. And I think that there's something deeper to that. So let me get out my nuts, my conspiracy nut board. And let's go deep into this. I think why the foundation of overspending in the government is feminism. And I think it's because it delegitimates the meritocracy. So the economy, free market becomes something evil because it picks winners and losers, right? So that's not evil. Yes, some people are going to make a lot of money in the free market. But the point is that in the free market, there is a lot of people who can make a decent living. And I'm not saying what we have now is anything close to a free market at all. There is a lot of control. And I would argue if a government is the one printing the money and the Federal Reserve, the idea that it's separate from the government, it's a little sketchy. But if that's the case, or at the very least, the government can get the Federal Reserve to underwrite its debt, which is totally unfair. I don't think there is necessarily a free market. But regardless, as long as we preserve that meritocracy, that expectation that people get benefit, people can buy more because of their productivity. So you create a bunch of items for sale that gives you money, and then you can buy your neighbor's items that they have for sale, that kind of thing. And that's what gives you material wealth. It's not how much money you can buy or have to buy things. It's how much your money buys. And how much your money buys is contingent on how productive everybody is in the system, right? How much things that they are creating to buy. Okay, so that's the meritocracy. If you make more things, you get to buy more things. Simple as. But again, there are going to be winners and losers. Now, we went from, I guess, liberals wanting to make it so that the meritocracy is as flat as possible, so that every child starts with a closer situation in terms of their learning, so that they can learn to make the widgets, be they intellectual or physical, because they have a solid foundation in education. Somewhere we went from that, let us equalize the class structure. Let us remove, reduce, take that really, really highly stratified class and try to make it as flat as possible through educating the next generation. We went from that to the way that we fix things is by advocating for victims of the system. So instead of equipping people to work within the system, we decided to try to make it easier for people who are supposedly victims of the system. Do you see the difference? And it's a different in thinking. It's a shift in thinking from let us judge people by how well they do, but reduce how much they're judged, not by their actions and decisions, but by arbitrary factors that they can't help, such as education based on, how rich your parents are, such as racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia. So we want to reduce those factors and make sure that everybody has a level playing field, to advocating for government spending on victims because they're victims, and not with an eye to making it so that they can compete effectively in the meritocracy. No, just to make them dependent on the system. And there's that shift. And I think it comes with the increase of women into politics and bureaucracy. There's a shift between, okay, if there's a disenfranchised group, let's try to make it, let's try to equalize the playing field so they can play in it. To there's a disenfranchised group, let's get rid of the playing field so that there's no disenfranchised groups. Do you see what I'm saying? And that classical liberal attitude, I think, is not necessarily harmful, but at some point it tipped from everybody should have as much of an equal chance to, because everybody, the outcomes aren't equal, we need to intervene, dismantle everything, and give everybody a trophy prize, which will soon mean absolutely nothing.
Right, because it operated on this assumption, which was altruistic, that, oh, well, if we do this, then everything will turn out good. And it did not happen. So they were like, well, we must not have done this hard enough. And so they just keep doing it more and more. And then they bring the state in to do it. And then they start doing it in other parts of the world. That's how you get, feminism exported to like third world countries. And ultimately it destabilizes them, or at least that's how they read it. And they're like, well, don't bring that shit over here. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. They're just like, this thing that we know is like the morally best way to live doesn't seem to be giving us the outcomes that we wanted, even though, we initially started this under the assumption that we weren't all about the outcomes, but now we are about the outcomes.
Yes.
So yeah, it was kind of an inevitable thing, I guess.
Well, it's not just inevitable. It's a shift in thinking from let's try to make it so that everybody is an effective competitor, or try to equalize things, not in the competition, but try to make it so. I'll just use one example. Let's say Tommy's born to a working class family, and let me use not a T word, like Danny is born to a rich family. Danny's going to have an advantage in his education, in eventually making something of himself. Tommy won't. So what do? Education. We put in a position, education in place to try to equalize that advantage, right? And so and that's something that was very much pushed for in like the first half of the 20th century, especially with the baby boomers. And so that tends to level the class, like the stratification of class, right? If you give people a good start, they compete well in the system. That was the point behind it. But the point was to make them competitive. That is fundamentally different than what's driving us now. It's not to make people competitive in the free market. It's not to say, hey, people should be judged by their actions and the behaviors. Instead, we've gone into this situation where we look at everybody who's supposedly disenfranchised by the prior system, and we say, no, we're not going to make them competitive. We're just going to give them money. That's a fundamentally different, that's a change in thinking from classical liberalism, which is freedom of speech, freedom of autonomy, being able to control the fruits of your labor, that kind of stuff. And also maybe public education could be under that, although that ended up being really fucked. But regardless, so it's all of this trying to maintain as equal a playing field as possible in the free marketplace. And then you switch over to, well, let's just advocate for these victim groups because they're disenfranchised. And we don't even care about making it an equal playing field. We'll tilt the playing field in favor of them. We'll give them government money. We'll treat them in terms of their victimhood rather than their actions. That's the difference.
But even then, though, like leftism isn't really about bringing up the people who are supposedly downtrodden or left behind. It's actually revenge on the people who are doing well. And it's masked as caring for the minority. Feminism is not about lifting women up, right? It's revenge against men. So that if you look at that, all of these other, like, let's say programs or initiatives that are supposedly trying to correct things are just getting revenge on the group that is seen to be, in power, whatever that is, whether it's men or white people or the straights or whatever, or the rich. And that's kind of like my core problem with Sh0e's prescriptions, because she hasn't completely abandoned the paradigm. She's just moving the pieces around. So obviously Sh0e doesn't have a problem with men, but like she's still operating in this rich poor thing, which the truth is that you can like do everything you can to try to help people, to give them a fighting chance, but they're not going to come out equal because we're not equal. Like, we're just not. So
I know
rich kid, even when you give people education, some people are going to get better education than others, and public education in particular.
And some are going to be just better at
god awful, and some people are just going to be better at things. So we have to like be okay with that. I think that's a lot of people are concerned about like, how much about representation and this and that, and like whether or not, everyone's doing really well. But I think that's less important than people being like, being okay with their position in life. It's like the Wreck-It Ralph story, like this is my lot in life. It's accepting that and being okay with that, and other people not necessarily shitting on that. And this is like an issue, because I think that with women in particular, they see everything in terms of status, right? So a man who's works for the sanitation department is looked down on, even though his work probably pays well. He does it with dignity. He's okay with that. That's the thing. It's like to me, it's like a social thing. We have to we have to change people's perspective on. We have to stop looking at certain things being worthy of more praise than others and see it all as, it's all necessary, especially the essential work that a lot of men do in silence without any, without any recognition,
Okay. So in the special chat, Kyle Sell says, what benefits has capitalism brought us? And by capitalism, I'm assuming means the free market.
Property
All right.
rights.
So property rights. The benefits that property rights have brought you is the rise of the middle class and the idea that people can develop legacy through working, so that it's not just aristocrats who are descended from ancestors that were best able to wield a sword that can have a legacy. People who work hard and build material wealth and do things like trade and create products that are of benefit to the greater society.
We should sick the anti-social contract on this guy, because he'll like destroy him. But anyway,
but
I'm sorry.
ultimately, that's what it is. It's like it's allowing people to gain legacy through hard work, not just through being descended from people who are men mostly who subjugated other groups of people. Now, if you can tell me what other system allows people to gain legacy through their own hard work, I'm all ears. Like this is what I talk to with communists. I'm like, well, if you can incentivize merit in some other way besides being able to buy stuff from your neighbors, tell me about it. Like, it'd be great. I'm open to, this is the thing that people think are like, oh, you're so against communism. I'm just like, yeah, if communism can develop a completely new way that people earn things through their actions, like I would honestly argue that Star Trek is an example of it. It's the incentive structure in Star Trek is greater freedom. If you actually watch it carefully, the people who participate and I guess produce the most in the system, or at least are seen as the most beneficial in the system, get more freedom to move around in the universe, right? That's an incentive structure. If communists can invent an incentive structure that has nothing to do with being paid for your labor, you might have something. Until you do, all you have is archaic systems. Well, basically just going back to the system where you do it because I'm the one with the sword, right? Which has been the system throughout a lot of human history. So it's not new. Okay. Let's keep going.
Star Trek is like a post, it's a society that basically doesn't have scarcity. So it's a post-scarcity society.
Well,
That's
but
the only
this still
reason
has
why
an
it
incentive
works.
structure.
No, I know, but I'm saying like that because they live in a world where you can just put stuff in the make it machine and it makes it. Like we don't live in that world. That's why it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy for like women, basically. That's
Okay,
what
so Kyle Sell
communism
says,
is. But
why do you assume that the people with the most money work the hardest? I don't. Yes. Nobody.
it depends on how they got the money, though.
Yeah.
Like some people, like if you're
some
talking
people
about
did.
statists, yeah.
Some people who have money did have money because they created products that people wanted, like indoor heating, indoor plumbing.
It brought value.
Electricity. You know, they brought value to the greatest number of people. Right now, people have money because they can sell a widget, and they can like venture capitalists. They can be like, oh well, I have this amazing thing that can thing the things, and everybody's like, wow, we want to give you money for the thing that can thing the things. Has it been proven to thing the things? No, but it's gonna be awesome when we get it working. And this is going on for years and years and years. And no, it hasn't shown to have any value to anyone, but people pile money into it because it's well sold. It's well marketed.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of the stock market now. No actual value being made. So you're right. Like there is now a real issue with people have money. Did they really earn it? You have a lot of inside trading happening in Congress. You have a lot of taking loans in the taxpayer's name for pet projects that are maybe virtue signaling at best, but basically just amount to giving money to the people who manage them. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people now with money that really they didn't earn. So I 100% agree with you. There is no way to manage that.
Yeah, but that's not property rights. That's literally like using the government to give you money.
Yes, it's literally using the government.
It's like that completely not the thing that you call capitalism at all.
Yeah, no, it's not free market. It's not at all. But it's an emergent property of going off the gold standard, this carry trade, and all of that other stuff. And that's a long conversation. But yes, you're right.
Anyway,
there's no way to ensure that the people who have money actually earned it. But and now because of a lot of government and corporate collusion, the middle class is disappearing. I don't know what tweet I can say to you. Don't ever let a government print its own currency or take out debt. That's it.
All right, so I got a super chat from Great Indoors who gives us $5 and says, ever since the massive layoffs in the wake of the COOF lockdowns, when politicians basically said, if we can save only one person, to hell with the entire economy, shut it all down, we have been hiring almost exclusively foreign people to the extent that we are unable to communicate internally with anything else than the English language. Also, these foreign co-workers are paying much less tax for the first 5 years as well. I bet those tax cuts are also applicable to the company itself as well. Not to mention the fantastic DEI status that probably goes along with it, which presumably also helps the company in acquiring the much needed government grants that subsidize the current green projects that as of yet brought it zero money. Yeah, and it's like, where BlackRock and Vanguard comes from too. But none of this is, like the idea of a corporation itself is not capitalist, which I hesitate to use the word because I don't like it. Because it is in fact a government project, a company in bed with the government, which is literally fascism. That's what a corporation is. And we have to like reckon with that as a reality. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, commies, but you're just failing. Okay.
So again, a special check. So Kyle Sell says owners paying laborers to do the work that they are too lazy to do is a silly system, so we should fix it. So, okay, Kyle, do we not pay laborers? Alternatively, does everybody only benefit from their own labor? That's going to be a no economy subsistence living. Like, and here's the question that I asked the people who are like, well, what is capitalism? What has free market done for any of us? Okay, so in your system, guys listening to me now, who is going to make stuff and what is going to incentivize them to do so? Okay, let's continue.
All right, playing more of the video.
Found women aged 22 to 29 earned about 1,000 more annually than men, completely reversing the traditional gender pay gap for this age group. In the US, a 2022 Pew Research Center analysis showed that women under 30 out-earned men in many metropolitan areas, with median earnings at or above 100% of men's, in cities like New York and Washington, D.C. That may not sound like a lot of money now, but it's a growing trend that has never been seen before. It's so bad that it's really starting to affect the dating world. American women have never been this resigned to staying single. They are responding to major demographic shifts, including huge and growing gender gaps in economic and educational attainment, political affiliation, and beliefs about what family should look like.
Yes, you give women more and they want even more.
It just occurred to me that Lauren Southern has accused a lot of different people of something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe eventually she'll accuse Milo.
It's funny. Milo.
I got that from the chat.
Milo dunked on her on X. It's hilarious, by the way. But I don't want to like bring that up. But Milo's been on fire, and Andrew Wilson. They've been going after her. Pretty funny. Okay. So
No.
yes.
Okay. So Kyle Sell says not their worth. Where do profits come from? Well, profits usually go to the people who fund the actual idea, right? And also to pay for the people managing it. They come from the people who want the product. So you're saying that if somebody develops an idea for a product or service, they shouldn't get any income from the work on developing the idea for the product or service. Like, is that what you're saying? Well, then nobody's going to develop ideas for products or services if they get nothing from it. And not their worth. Well, they're free to go and sell what they offer anywhere else in the marketplace to someone who's willing to buy what they have to offer. The same people who make stuff now make it. What? So, okay, they do it for nothing? Like you just told me, where do the profits? People labor for the big bosses and they labor for not enough money. And now you say these people who labor for not enough money are going to labor for free. Okay, so I don't know, $15 an hour is too low, but $0 an hour is just right for you.
Well, you see, in this amazing future, Allison, everything will be free and money won't have to exist because we'll just be sharing. That's the world we're going to live in. Just walk with me down the yellow brick road and see the wizard, and he will grant our wishes.
This is worse than that.
Because that involves walking. We don't want to have to do that.
No, it's worse than that because he says the same people who make stuff now will make it. So the same people who make stuff now for $15 an hour will make it for nothing, and their incentive
or else they'll face the wall.
And their incentive structure is life. So they'll do it so that they can continue to subsist and survive. All right. Yep. Humans lived for 100,000 years without the free market. Aristotle, I don't care what Aristotle hated. All right. Okay. So human beings existed for 100,000 years without toilets too. Okay.
All right. Xerinx gave us a super chat for $10. Thank you, Xerinx. And he says, I think that was the goal. There was no need to shut down small businesses or to myopically decide what was essential, especially since the bug proved how networked the economy is. It's managed decline. Thank you, Xerinx. Okay. So we survived it. We're pretty resilient people. So I think we'll be okay. But let's play some more.
More women than men are attending college, buying houses, and focusing on their friendships and careers over dating and marriage. The challenges of finding a romantic partner have been made more complicated by a growing divide in education and career prospects between men and women. In 2024, 40% of American women ages 25 to 34 had a bachelor's degree, according to Pew, compared to 37% of men. A bachelor's degree increases net lifetime earnings by an estimated $1 million. Women are doing comparatively well when it comes to education in their early years in the labor force, and men are doing comparatively badly.
All right, I'm just pausing for the banana there. These statistics are a little bit like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily bear out that women will be making more, but if they're led to believe they will, then that will just change what their standards are. So they'll be looking for men that don't exist, basically. And that's what's happening now. That's why you're seeing more and more thought pieces like, men, where are you? Please come back. You know, and men, I mean, the other thing too is that women are entering relationships and marriages with like debt from college that they need help paying off, as opposed to bringing their own sort of like half of the economy to a marriage and family. So this has changed things quite a bit. But Allison, are you trying to talk? Because I think you're muted again.
No, I'm just pondering
Okay.
the
All right.
the communists and what they're saying. Somebody mentioned a coconut island analogy, which I'm looking at.
God,
Okay.
why are we? Can we stop entertaining communists? Like, you guys have been failing for hundreds of years. You're not going to succeed. Just stop it. Okay? This, like, you're just not serious people. Well, I want to talk about what we can actually do that's not going to get millions of people killed. Okay? Like, not this. Not this. Men don't want this. They want to earn. They want an incentive structure that actually operates as an incentive structure. Communism has nothing to offer men, full stop, period. Okay?
Well,
if you are still a communist, you're lazy. That's all it is. Go to work.
okay, I just want to say that this what we're dealing with now is imploding as well, but yeah, I don't
because the
I
government
don't
got
see how.
involved, Allison. It's not, it's like it's statism that did this. Okay?
Yeah.
Communists only offer more of the same. They just offer more statism.
But the thing is, okay, so this Kyle says that the same people who make the stuff will make it, and the incentive structure is life. So the incentive structure goes from money to life. What does that even mean?
So that means you get to live if you keep
That
working.
means you get to live or survive. So you want to somehow have an advanced system based on subsistence living. Okay. Based on the incentive structure of a subsistence living culture or society. I don't know if that'll work, but you do you. Okay, let's
All right.
Are we not done? Like,
I'm exasperated with communists. I'm sorry. Okay, no, where this is like the section called just get a wife, bro. So Albatross gives us $5 and says, thank you, Albatross. At work right now, so just cannot talk much. Here's $5 for some Badger coffee and donuts. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Struggles seem to be having the biggest effect on women without a college degree, whose marriage rates by 45 have plummeted to 52% for those born between 1930 and 1980, according to research by Cornell University. Young men without a degree are struggling so much as a group that there simply aren't enough with steady jobs and earnings for non-college women to date. Men are poor, women most affected. Modern women are no longer tied to their gender role. Birth control has freed them from the prison that is their biology, and they are making their own money, sometimes more than men. They can have it all, they can do anything, they can be anything. While at the same time, men are still expected to be the provider. And more importantly, many men still want to be the provider, but they can't. And women, though strong and independent, still want men to be the provider.
Yeah. That's true. This is the best point she makes, I think, in this, that people have to reckon with, is that men are still expected to do the traditional thing. Women are, of course, liberated from all of that. So the gender role thing that feminism supposedly fights against doesn't exist because they still want men to be in their role, even the so-called anti-gender abolitionist types, because they still want men to essentially do their job as men, and they will challenge their masculinity if they don't do it. Meanwhile, women can do whatever they want, and men can't even have an opinion on that. So
okay. All right. So I think we're getting to the root of the matter. And I do think it's worth it to talk to people like this or individuals in the special chat. Kyle Self says, I'm a man. I want not to be a paid laborer with nothing to own. Well, unfortunately, we now have a system that's completely corrupted by government debt and also insane financial shenanigans. So yeah, I feel for you. But I don't think the solution is to make you work to live instead of making you work for whatever wage you have now. Like you're basically saying, I want to be in more poverty while doing the same amount of work. And yeah, I like how do you say that word, man? The gigantic ball of
Katamari.
things. The Katamari. The debt Katamari is huge and disturbing, but making it bigger is probably not going to help anyone. And he says, I work 40 hours a week. Okay, you don't have strong ideas, so you make fun of different opinions. I didn't make fun of your opinion. I repeated it to you, and I said, make this work. You can't hide from the truth. Look, I get it. It's painful right now participating in this economy. Upward mobility is gone. Downward mobility is the name of the game now. And young people aren't getting into new jobs because of all of this technological bubbles on things that people are willing to put money into that never show any return on making anybody's life better. Like widgets that just are in your head, it's just concepts and have never actually made money because nobody really needs them. And that's a lot. That seems to be a lot of the new tech offerings. It's really bad, but it's not going to be made better by going back to a subsistence living system in which life motivates you to work. Like, I just don't get the idea. I don't get your process here. You're now working for a wage. Now you want to work for nothing just to live with no ability to buy anything, just to get wheat from the government, or who knows what will be the new way of keeping people from starving. Like, Kyle Sell says, learn didactical and historical materialism. I don't need to learn those things. I just need to learn logic. Because if you learn from those things, you are not presenting a strong case for anything related to something that'll work.
All right.
Oh, I am kind. Okay. All right. I think I'm just female, but regardless. Okay.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money.
Basically, men are like, we're worried we're not making enough money. And women are like, we're worried men are not making enough money. Hello class, I am Miss On Head. I am substituting for your teacher today. She was arrested for molesting a 12-year-old boy. So today we are learning about...
That was a nice one right there. Yeah.
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 The graph. This is the growth in productivity versus hourly compensation graph. And you can trace almost everything bad happening in society back to this graph.
Can we pause this because this graph is not correct? What you really need is the hourly wage versus inflation graph. And the inflation in the economy, which is functionally suppressed the hourly wage, is a direct result of government spending. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. The reason why your wages are not increasing in order to compensate for inflation is because government spending is becoming exponential. So you need to absorb more and more and more government spending in your economy. And the way that this works is that government writes itself a debt, like it writes itself some money, right? It says, okay, give me money. Federal Reserve, give me money. No, it's not the way that works, but give me money. I'm gonna make a debt. I'm gonna give money to all of the bureaucrats who have discovered some kind of pet project that gives them an excuse to get their fist in the trough, their face in the trough. All the money filters out. They go out into the economy. They get that money first, right? They spend, they inflate the cost of everything, and then you get to cover that. That's where inflation comes from. It comes from the government writing itself blank checks that not only do you have to cash in terms of inflation, in terms of increasing how much everything costs in your economy, but you also have to pay the interest on with your income tax. When you truly understand that, when that truly penetrates your brain, you realize that we are not in a free market economy at all. We are actually in a new aristocracy where we have a group of people on top that basically just dips into our productivity whenever they want. And I'm not saying corporations are different at this point, since the government now picks winners and losers. They might as well be part of the government. They go and they dip into the trough whenever they want, and you give whatever remains. And yet you are the one who's filling the trough. So you go and you go to the trough and you dump everything, all your productivity in, and you're like, oh boy, we're going to share our productivity and thus make each other much wealthier. And then the government comes in and gobbles all of it, or almost all of it, and you're left with a little bit of shit in the bottom. And you were the ones who made all of that wealth in the first place. Once that you actually wrap your mind around it, it's so unbelievably sickening. You will never, ever advocate for anything, a sniff of that again. And let me tell you, Kyle, you will never be the one who gets a first dip in the trough. Never. I'm never going to be a one who gets the first dip in the trough. Brian is never going to be a one to get the first dip in the trough. That's always going to be the people who network really well in Washington, D.C., who rub elbows, who kiss rings. And that is a reflection of what communism ends up being. It's still a meritocracy. Communism is still a meritocracy, except the merit is how well you suck up to the party. And that's what we're seeing now. You're never going to get, these people are never going to give you a drink from the trough. They will only ever drink, they'll only ever do to you, Kyle, they will take your glass that you have earned through your own labor. They will give a good long glug of it, gulp, 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 and then they'll give you back an ounce. That's all they'll ever do. And now what you're saying is, yeah, well, actually, could you take my glass that I've all my productivity that I've developed over the last, I don't know, year, and then they'll drink it all, gulp, 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 and then they'll piss in it and give it to you. That's your improvement? Like, come on. I'm not nicer. I think it's just because I'm the girl or the woman. Oh, all right, let's keep.
All right.
Anyway,
that's
my analysis of that chart.
Okay.
Increased, while compensation barely grew over the same time period. Notice they tracked very closely up until around 1972. Now, what happened around 1972, class? Well, the top marginal tax rate was reduced from 70% in 1964 to 50% by 1981. The federal minimum wage began to stagnate. Income going to the 1% rose from 9% in the 60s to 16% in 2023. CEOs also went from making 20 times more than the average worker to making 350 times
it's not just the tax. It is not just the tax. We also went off the gold standard, which allowed governments to massively inflate their debt. Massively. Because before they had to have gold as collateral. So they actually couldn't land. They couldn't give themselves more money than they had gold to back to a certain degree. They kept decreasing how much collateral they actually needed. Now they don't need collateral. They can just write themselves more debt whenever they want, which we then have to service with our income. And they also get to use that debt to get first dibs on all of the products that we've made, which they tax. In order to gain that income. So they get first dibs on everything we made in the trough, and what we made making everything in the trough, they get to use to subsidize their next first gibs. God damn, it is such a shitty system. And I absolutely 100% understand everybody who looks at this system and says blah. And the thing is that you can't trust anyone in government because they all buy into this shit. I can't articulate this enough. This is immoral. This is absolutely immoral what they're doing in government in terms of their spending, in terms of debt. There is no excuse for this. This is worse than everything on the plate as a moral issue. I think this is why when Jesus went into the temple and saw the money lenders, he went apeshit. And now we're ruled by the one group of people that made Jesus just lose his absolute shit. Okay. And they're not even like money.
Him. Okay, so I got a super chow from Dan DeFilippo, who gives us $7.50. I think that was like a maybe for the fundraiser or something. I don't know. We're not doing the fundraiser yet, right?
Yeah,
but it's a double back thing. And he says property rights is part of capitalism, but not exclusive to it. Capitalism is mostly good, but the free market is proving to be a difficulty. Both need to be tempered to prioritize stability in society. We are enamored of capitalism because of a holdover from Cold War era animosity towards communism. Male hierarchies are the viable alternative to capitalism for a productivity incentive structure. Okay.
But I don't think that male hierarchies generally have government oversight. You just leave men alone and they'll form them. So
capitalism is a word invented by socialists so they can criticize property rights. It's just property rights, Dan. That's all it is. I make something, it belongs to me. I can give it to you in exchange for something else. We can call it the barter system. The word capitalism was a word made up by commies so they can criticize people owning things. That's all it is. It's very simple. It's very simple. And I suggest you guys stop using the word capitalism because you're just buying into the framework of communists that want to talk about property rights, which is this mug belongs to me. This is my property. I can sell it to you or I can trade it to you, but it's mine. That's what property rights means. If I make it, it's also mine. If I draw something, that's my drawing. I can give it to you, then that's property rights because I have the right to do that. That's it. It's a very simple concept.
It just occurs to me it's very beneficial for a group of people who think that that this system is legitimate, where all of us who labor and make stuff that people want, we put it in the big trough, right? And then the money we make putting all the stuff in the big trough, they get a percentage of, but then they turn around and use that percentage that they took from us making the goods and use that to underwrite, making gigantic loans so they can be the first people to use the goods. And no wonder these people embrace the idea that property rights are somehow evil because they want our property.
See, you're right there, Allison. So if you call it capitalism, then you can criticize it and say weird things like, oh, it's greed, like as though greed is like some problem associated with a system and not just a problem that human beings have always had. Like, oh, you have something I want, or I have something and I don't want to give it to anybody else. That exists no matter what system you're under, because greed is a human problem. It's not a material problem. It's not a capitalist problem. But when you call it property rights, which is what it is, then when you criticize property rights, then you see it for what it really is. I don't like that you have things. You shouldn't be allowed to have things, which is why desperate commies try to draw a line between property rights and personal property and private property. But it's all private property, guys. Stop
they're
it.
both
You're
super
just
chats.
coping, okay? The personal property is different. We've seen the attempts at communes. They almost always collapse into disaster because somebody wants somebody else's toothbrush, or ultimately it becomes like people's bodies become their property, you know? So look, you can have whatever opinions you want. You think I'm mean, whatever. I'm trying to save you from yourself. Communism is for morons. That's all I'm saying, okay?
Yeah,
We've
okay,
tried it. It's killed millions of people. I'm not going to apologize for that. But don't tell me that property rights is not what you're criticizing. So,
well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, again, who's going to make the stuff and what is their incentive for doing so? Now, if you said something like, you know, the fiat currency that the government controls and writes itself debts in is not enough compensation for the average worker, I'd be right on that. Right, 100%. The average worker deserves to be paid in a currency that isn't going to be inflated out of existence because bureaucrats want free shit. Right? That 100% behind that. 100%. But if you're going to say, well, it's life that's going to set, no. We're not going from a situation where it's bad right now to a situation where it's even worse and nobody gets anything. That's the wrong direction. Okay. Is there anything further, really?
I mean, she basically
We've been
warns
at
against
this for a long
what?
time. I thought it was gonna be like an hour.
Yeah, this is like 2.5 hours. Do you want me to play more of this or what?
Well, yeah, let her finish her point, because although I don't agree with the chart, she did have a good point.
Yeah.
Anything else happened around 1972? Yes, Jimmy, that is correct. Women joined the workforce around this time, but we don't have to get into that today. The fact is,
that seems to be the most important point, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's bigger than the whole, like, you know, billionaires, CEOs. How about women entered the workforce? And it was probably also a big mass immigration thing, too, that happened as well. And I say this as somebody who was probably a benefactor or beneficiary of that were people willing to work for less as well. So, you know, drive down wages. We got to be honest about it. But I think that women had a big part to play. And I don't blame them. Like I said, it sounded really appealing. And at the time, people probably thought this is like a good idea, you know, but it turned out to be not a good idea. I don't know how else to put it. So, Allison, are you there?
No, I'm just looking at things. I want to thank Dan DeFilippo. I hope that our response was of interest. Chorizo has disappeared. That's interesting.
I think I don't know. I haven't looked, but he's probably lurking.
Oh no,
it's bedtime. Okay. So anyways, I'll play a little bit more of this. I think this is her final point.
Hard work no longer guarantees success, and the will to work is tied to the fruits of your labor. And young men are fed up today because 90% of that fruit is rotten. Now, is there some truth to modern young people being lazy? Sure, I guess. Every generation had lazy people. And we do basically live in late-stage mouse utopia, after all. Young people today are faced with two options: revolution or escapism. And a lot of them are choosing escapism. Many have basically given up, but it's not like they didn't try. They tried and they found out the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, whether it's college, dating, or the job market. And in a way,
I like how she says young people. Men. Just say it. It's men. Women are, you already pointed out, women are getting a higher education, they're making more money. They're just not finding any men because there are no men who will live up to their standards. That's their problem, is that they can't lower their standards. Men are the ones that are choosing escapism, which you should be fortunate that they're not choosing revolution. So, you know, some of them are like, they're definitely like, you know, probably people in our chat that feel frustrated enough to do that.
Okay, all right. Lo-fi communism. Okay, lo-fi commie says, yes, I want you to force you to get paid fairly and have affordable housing. I'm pretty much the devil. No, you want to create a government branch of free housing. which means
the Ministry of Free Housing.
The Ministry of Free Housing, which means you are going to open up yet another opportunity for a bunch of bureaucrats to go get their share of the trough that we have made. That's all that's going to happen. That's it. Right? There's not a solution here except them eating more of the stuff that we make. All they can do is maybe rearrange the stuff that we make. We are making it. Us. You are making the housing. You are making the medical stuff. You are making the art. You are making the food. This stuff doesn't come from the bureaucracy. At best, they can maybe distribute it, but that's not the track record I'm seeing. The track record I'm seeing is they'll say something like, we'll distribute housing, but first we'll give all the mansions to us. And then we'll give all the nice 4-bedroom single family houses to our children. And then we'll give all the nice condos to our grandchildren. And you can get a yurt next to the cricket farm. Like, don't you notice this at all? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish these people I wish the individuals who are calling themselves communists would get this through their head. The stuff comes from us. The stuff comes from us. The stuff comes from your neighbor. The stuff comes from your dad. The stuff comes from you. The stuff comes from your friends. It does not come from the bureaucrats in government. The only thing you're going to do if you say, bureaucrats, give us free housing, is give the bureaucrats the right to control the stuff that you make. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is sort of aggravating.
Kind of choosing revolution. The never before seen large shift rightward in young men is a small revolution in a way. They're saying, this isn't working for me. This sucks. I hate this. I want something different. This is also manifesting on the Democrat side in general. The young men that are still voting left are voting further left. You saw this recently in New York City, where Zohran Mamdani, a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist, won the Democratic primary. Young men are tired of the establishment, left and right. They're tired of the system, and they want to burn it down and start again. They want something that works for them, because this is not working for them.
If you wake up one morning...
Yeah, but what they want is to be able to support a family with a woman that loves them. That's all they ever wanted. If you let them have that, there would be no issues. But that's been an issue. And so, yeah, they're blaming the government for it. And yeah, the government does bear some of that. But ultimately, where I live, there are men and women who are married with multiple children. They're not fans of the government, but you know what? They get by without burning anything down because they love each other. But most women now, they're not looking for that.
Do you know why aristocratic families and families in power are absolutely nuts about marriage and legacy? It's because these things create wealth, period. What you're talking about, Brian, is the ability to create wealth, which is the ability to form families. What is the first thing that our government did when it gained all of these narratives? It turned around and it destroyed, and feminism is very much a government-sponsored concept. It destroyed the ability for people to form families and create legacy and work together with each other to help each other out. It destroyed family. That's the first thing it did. And I mean, you could say that it did it in the context of creating greater consumerism. Doesn't matter. That's what it did. And yeah. So why don't we let her finish your point? There is some more stuff in this.
There's a clip from what?
Well, okay. There's something in this lady is so close to realizing communism is what she's been searching for. Yes, but okay. Your neighbors create their stuff, right? Okay. They create the stuff, not the bureaucrats. Okay. How do we create a way of fairly exchanging stuff? Because I'm not giving the stuff to the bureaucrats to decide who they give it to. So you tell me, how do we create a way, all of us, like we're in a community, Ted grows cucumbers, Fred makes, or I shouldn't use Fred, I don't know, Chris grows beef. How do we create a system by which everybody can exchange stuff fairly without the government involving itself? You think about that and you come up with your answer, Kyle. Okay,
All right, I'm gonna play this.
And you find yourself in a society where 23-year-olds with 4-year college degrees and like initiative who aren't smoking weed every day, if they can't make enough to buy a car, much less a home, much less get married, much less have children, then why should you be surprised when half of them say they prefer socialism?
Huh. Fox News should hire that guy. There is an entire generation of fighting-aged men who are enraged.
Isn't it funny that the system is designed to fall apart enough so that men vote in the system that did this in the first place, and they call it progress?
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a trap, guys. It's a trap. They did it to the women in the 70s. Okay,
but
I'm just saying, because Shoe's like all about it, like, oh, that's a good idea. We'll tax the rich people. And then the rich are going to leave the country and we're going to have nothing. Actually, they're already doing that. In the blue states, a lot of the big companies have left. Why? Too much socialism. So, yeah, let's just do that. Let's just do more of that. I don't, you know what? I need to go on a diet anyways.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that it's Tucker's point. I think he does have a point. If this system is providing no upward mobility for anyone, then you're right. It's basically young men saying, well, where's my, I mean, after generations of men paying into this shitty system, which is now just stealing their the livelihood of their sons are saying, well, give back. We want from the system now. And yeah, it is buying into the system again, and it's not going to work. It is 100%. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. The instant it happens, it's all going to go, like, gone. It's unfortunate fact is that we're stuck with this now. We have to labor for these people who treat us like farm animals. And then to respond to the special chat, they say, by equal, Lo-Fi Kami says, by equal ownership of the stuff. Lady, you're so close. So you're saying that everybody in the community should equally own everything that's made. Well, first of all, that is proven to reduce productivity overall. But second of all, no. Have you ever freaking grown anything? You know how much effort you put in? I am not going to make my potatoes available to the entire community. Yeah, I might give them to my friends and family, but they are not available to the entire community. I put the effort in. If somebody wants my effort, they give me something that allows me to purchase somebody else's effort. Okay? And the thing is that you say equally everybody, then once again, you are talking about having an organization that takes all of the stuff that the community provides and distributes it, right? Or are you just saying we all dump it into a pile? How are the goods distributed in your system? We all equally own it. How are they distributed? Who controls the distribution of those goods if they're all equally owned? The equally owned goods ministry? Like, think about it. And why do you have such a fucking problem with the idea that I grew these damn potatoes, you're going to give me something that will allow me to purchase some beef? Why do you have such a fucking problem with that? Now you got me pissed. Like, good grief.
Yep. Well,
I want my damn potatoes.
Okay, let's keep going.
As you can see, I am not unfamiliar with starches. I'm not a stranger to starches.
Yeah.
4. You should probably start caring. When they saw this airing on Fox News, they saw an angry woman nagging in their faces about how everything wrong in the world is their fault. An all too familiar thing they have been hearing for far too long. But unfortunately for Democrats, nobody under the age of 60 watches Fox News, so this is not really going to have an effect on young men whatsoever. So keep that $20 million. you might still need it. Unless we get dragged into another war in the Middle East. If we do get dragged into another war in the Middle East, young men might come running back to the Democratic Party. Maybe not even a George Bush II electric boogaloo will have men coming back to the Democratic Party. Hopefully we don't find out. And as I'm editing this right now, a lot of young people, even the podcast bros, seem pretty upset about the Epstein thing, but we know Democrats won't take advantage of the situation in order to protect the Clintons, so...
Okay, I'm just pausing there. This is just more like, yeah, she's basically like done here with this, I think.
Okay, Sigula first says, I love how debt is a problem when making people's lives better, but handouts and welfare to business and the wealthy is fine. Oh, good grief. I have just spent the entire 2 hours calling out handouts to the wealthy and business primarily. The reason why welfare to people who are earning the income at this point now is going to be a problem is because if you put UBI in position, there will be no incentive for anybody to work. So there will be no income and the whole system is going to come crashing down. That's fine. It's a shitty system anyway, but it's going to be quite a rocky transition. So sure, do it. Put in UBI. Implode the system.
Allison, it'll work this time. This random person in our vertical YouTube chat just said so. Forget what all those philosophers wrote about and like, you know, Chairman Mao and like Stalin and Lenin and, you know, Pol Pot. Forget those people. They weren't as intellectually robust as the guy in our vertical chat saying it's totally going to work this time. Just like, you know, go educate yourself, Allison.
Okay. All right. All right. I hate this fucking system, right? I hate the system in which bureaucrats get richer off of all of these bullshit narratives and corporations get richer for providing nothing to nobody, just a pie in the sky. Oh, maybe we'll make something that makes money eventually. Yeah, this system is shit. What I'm saying is that once you put in place UBI, which at this point I have no moral objection to because this situation is shit, everything's going to implode. And we are going to have to go back to a system in which people get stuff for making stuff. And again, that no incentive thing is garbage. What's the incentive? Okay, I spend hours and hours and hours raising my potatoes. What's my incentive to give them to Ted? For nothing. Because he equally owns them. Because why? My labor made those potatoes. Why does Ted get equal access to my potatoes? What incentive do I have to share them with Ted? And why should that incentive be controlled centrally and not by me and Ted just exchanging something that has some kind of universal value to everyone involved? Like, it's infuriating. Why don't they see this? Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
Oh, maybe not even this will save them, but we'll see, I guess. Hold on one second. That's better. So that was that video. What do you think of the male loser epidemic? Do you agree with Tommy Lauren? Is it all men's fault? Leave your comments below. I read.
It's women's fault. That's it.
Yeah, well, literally, it's like the average woman has not gotten better in the last 70 years. Mm-hmm. The average man, you know, bit larger, but still doing work generally, right? Doing the work that's required to keep society running. So why is it that now the average woman is just too good for the average man? That's bullshit. If that was ever the case in human history, we would have gone extinct, except for those pinch points, those evolutionary pinch points in which there was like only 17 men for every one woman or 17 women for every one man. But something happened to reduce the population to that point. So that's not actually the way it works. But regardless, so why is it that it's men now? Not the fact that all the women just want a man who makes their girlfriends jealous, which all women can't have. You can't have it. Because if you have a man, like if your man makes your girlfriends jealous, that means you're likely way out of your league because you tend to use your girlfriends of equivalent attractiveness. So you're all shooting for men who are technically way out of your league. And if you all get men who are way out of your league, then you can't make your girlfriends jealous because she also has a man who's way out of your league. So then you have to shoot for men who are way, way, way out of your league. But then if your girlfriend gets a man who's also way, way, way out of your league, then you can't make her jealous. So then you have to shoot for men who are way, 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 way out of your league. But then if your girlfriend gets that because she's entitled, because it's obviously not a problem with women, then you have to shoot for, and it's just never ending. And it's a problem with women's mentality. Okay. I'm good. There's a lot
All
of,
right.
communists in
That's
special
the
chat.
end. Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys all come here from like Shoe's comment section? So that's the end of the video. She just sort of like, you know, asked for opinions and stuff. So we got through the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
well that's good. We might have, did you get all the super chows?
Yes, I'm looking just one more quick look over. Yes,
I'll do
I got
a
all
boost on
of the no, that's it. That's all of them.
Yeah, well, there might be one stuck in the tube, so I'm just gonna do a
Okay.
poke.
All right. Go ahead and check.
We're good. We're good. No super chows stuck in the tubes. If you guys want to get in the last one, feedthebadger.com/justthetip, and let me see if there's anything further. Because I need other people's work. Yes, that's fine, but I might not need them immediately. So, for example, I may need, he needs Sandy's grains and Paul's carpentry. I may need Paul's carpentry skills, but Paul does not need my potatoes. However, Tony may need my potatoes, but he doesn't need Paul's mark apart. So he's going to give me some kind of medium of exchange so that I can sell my potatoes to Tony. He gives me some kind of medium of exchange, which then I can use to get carpentry skills from Paul. I don't think we need an entire bureaucratic apparatus of everybody owns everything equally in order to manage this. We could have just a distributed system of a symbol that could possibly be based on something with historical value, like a type of metal. Instead, why do we need to go to bureaucratic, the Ministry of Equal, everyone owning everything equally? In order, like I go to the Ministry of everyone owning everything equally and be like, here's my potatoes. And they're saying, thank you. We will take 10 out of every, or we'll take 9 out of every 10 potatoes. And then that last one potato you can use to actually get something you need. No, thank you. I'd rather just use money. The funny thing is that money is what we control, or we did before it became this gigantic fiat system. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. I can argue with the communists all day. It's actually more fun than the feminists, because at least the communists are like, but what about this? But what about this? Whereas feminists are just like, you are a man with a small penis.
Yeah.
Like, so it's nowhere to go. They just immediately default onto some kind of fucked up shaming. So I'll give you the communists this. At least you are trying to think of things, of actual things, systemic things to bring up to say, oh, but what about this? At least you haven't said I have a small pee yet.
Yeah, they're really stupid things, but I guess they are things.
Yeah, well, compared to what feminists do?
Well, feminists are just trying to control you with their emotions. But like, so yeah, there's like no substance.
No,
it's like you can't even call it dumb. But I can't call communist dumb because it is dumb. So
yeah, okay. Yeah, at least you register on the scale of intelligence there, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll do the things. I'm gonna not look at the special chat, guys. I gotta close this out. All right. So if you want to send us a comment, if any of you communists want to correct me about all of the things that I've said, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. You no longer, I'm going to leave now. I'm going to go and do my life. You no longer get the benefit of my labor. So now you have to pay for it. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And if you want to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. If you want to join us, enjoy having more access to our resources and events and other stuff like that, badgernation.online. Actually, if you're interested in the event that we're having in Calgary Alberta, Canada, September 13th. It'd be a good idea to go to badgernation.online and join our community, or just go to feedthebadger.com/events, and that has some more information about it. I'm going to hand that. So this should all be in the low bar. Did I give you that link to the events thing?
I will add it. You did not send it to me yet, though.
Oh, I will send something to you. Just give me a second here. I actually went to Feed the Badger, but then I just sort of forgot about it. Just give me like link finding music here.
You know, I can find it. I know what it is. I'll just write it in myself. Just like wrap it up, and I'll do it after the show.
Okay,
over, okay?
I'm done. I've sent Brian the link, so it's wrapped up. Take it away, Brian.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, even the communists, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.